The health is good. One way downtown.
My audio. And welcome into Hoopsville, special show here from the Salem area, Roanoke Valley, as it were. You're hearing an audio-only version of the show here. I am your host, Dave McHugh, joined by our esteemed colleague in Coleman, and live from Corned Beef, a wonderful establishment in Roanoke. Just a short walk away from the hotel du jour for most of the coaches, which is why this makes it so perfect for us. As we get ready for the Final Four once again here in Salem. And it's an audio-only show tonight. Hope you don't mind. Basically for logistical reasons, to be completely honest, a little too crazy. So, but we'll be talking with coaches throughout. We'll even bring in our colleague in the D3Hoops.com Classic, Brett from Sport Talk. Talk about that a little bit, kind of preview this coming one. Maybe if I think about it, we may even get Gary Stewart on the show to preview the Hoopsville Classic. Got 6 teams pretty much penciled in. We got a whole mess of other ones. Kind of like, so are you not? Maybe? Yeah, okay. Actually got our 6th one yesterday as I was about en route to the Roanoke Valley. Of course, we will preview the four games, 4 teams, 2 games coming up. And of course, the All-Star game coming up as well. But we'll talk more about the semifinals. I want to remind you that we do have our Hoopsville pregame, postgame specials from the Salem Civic Center. We'll start on the air tomorrow afternoon, 4:30, an hour before the first semifinal. Coleman and I and guests will get you ready for that. And then, of course, we will come on between games for a short period of time. Probably get about a half hour, I would guess, depending on timing, to kind of wrap up that game and preview the next one. And then we'll do a quick post game after the second semifinal. Then on Saturday, we'll be back on the air, I would argue about 2:30, an hour before the championship game, give or take, to break that game down and get you ready for the championship. Of course, we'll have post game coverage as well. You can find all that information at D3Hoops.com. Of course, Hoopsville presented by D3Hoops.com, the National Association of Basketball Coaches. The city of Salem, proud hosts, once again, the 20th year, hosting some part of the championship tournament. They'll be handing out their 19th trophy, as we had that odd Atlanta year.
Just say hosting the national semifinals.
There you go. I like that one better. And we'll also, let's see, and also viewers like you are so kind to donate to the Hoopsville fundraising project. And Pat, I will say the weather a little bit cool, rainy today, but by Saturday it might be pretty nice. But we're usually stuck in the Civic Center and don't even notice the weather. It's kind of the opposite of our Stagwell experience. Weather is rather paramount.
Yeah, it's one of the few times when I've come out here, or teams from the Midwest have come out here, and then left better weather at home to come out here. It's been a great week and a half in the Midwest. I know it's been kind of cold and rainy, and there's still there's snow in the forecast tonight. Not for here, but elsewhere on the eastern seaboard. Across much of the Division III landscape. So.
I'm amazed Babson was able to dig out. I was under the impression that they were buried in Boston.
It's actually not so bad. Yeah. So, obviously, and I was just there this past weekend.
Yes, I'm amazed you made it back.
Well, it didn't snow while I was there, which was nice. We had some nice, wonderful cold rain. And, of course, the big leftover effect of the snow in the Boston area, as you might expect, is the fact that there's these big piles of snow and ice on the streets, and there's not a lot of parking, even less parking than usual. And the roads are even narrower than usual in a lot of places. But it was a fantastic weekend at Babson last weekend, and of course, that team coming out here, number 14 in the country, the highest ranked team. And Dave, I just want to say too, big picture about the tournament. After that first night where we lost Whitewater and St. Thomas minutes apart, seemingly,
Didn't we lose a third one?
But we lost, and we lost two of the top 6. 2 more didn't play, but then we didn't. We had a lot of chalk
lost
after
3. I
that.
thought we lost 3 of the 6.
We had a lot
Maybe
of
the
chalk
next
after
one.
that. Though.
But you're right. No,
we lost like a number 9 at the time.
well, let's. How much chalk was it? Listen, I'll be. Maybe anybody who's seen me on the bracketologies know that I am not that good at the bracket. There's a lot of times I try and use. I overthink it, and I will lose half of my Final Four in the first weekend. Up to 2, I have 7 of the 8 remaining. That's how chalk it went from the rest of the way. That's just not my modus operandi, as it were. So
yeah, I was pretty happy. We got Stevens Point and Virginia Wesleyan were my teams picked to play in the final.
The one I got wrong, Randolph-Macon, and I have winning the bracket.
Yeah.
Well, so the downfall is, I'm not winning the bracketology.
That's all right. But it turned out we started with a fantastic night of basketball on the first night. The first full night back on Friday when most of the first round games were played. And we've had some great competitive games since then. Babson has fought through, played a bunch of close games. They have battled half 3 times, I believe, in the 4 games that they played in the tournament.
At least twice, maybe 3 times. Stephen Brennan mentioned at least twice.
Down half to Westfield and both of their games last week.
Yeah, they might be. Yeah.
Augustana, obviously had to survive the buzzer sticker from or the
things you don't see for a hundred.
The rim beater. I don't know what you want to call that shot that DePaul put up at the end of regulation.
Glue shot. It was a glue shot.
Yep, and then they relatively had an easy time of it. After that, Wisconsin Stevens Point. Similarly, they are the only team that has won all 4 of their games to get here by double digits. But one of them was against Illinois Wesleyan, and one of them was against Emory, a team who beat them last year. So they have made their road easy, but it wasn't an easy road within the bracket. And then, obviously Virginia Wesleyan winning all 4 of its games away from home, having to beat a team that beat it 3 times previously. That's the state of the men's sport here.
Besides their first game, they blew out John Carroll. Honestly, I don't think anybody saw that. They thought John Carroll would be more competitive than that. Who knows what really happened? But they then had a really good matchup with William Patterson. They then had a very tough battle with Dickinson. It might have been a 10-point spread, but even Coach Masu will tell you that game was not in Dickinson. All Dickinson needed to do was really go on one of their runs that they've had all season. They never got enough traction to do that, and that's how they could kind of make it get past Virginia Wesleyan. And then Virginia Wesleyan and Randolph-Macon played an epic, low scoring, but it didn't feel that way. Game that came down to a buzzer beater attempt by Randolph-Macon that rimmed out from one target by shooters of the country. And so they're here, you're right, on the road. The rest of them were all at home.
And they were the only ones that survived away from home. And again, all 4 games. In fact, Virginia Wesleyan hasn't hosted the sectional since they went to the Final Four in 2016. So those, they've been to the Sweet 16 5 consecutive years.
Yeah.
They haven't hosted anything.
That's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, they've done a great job. Obviously, you get back here. If you look at those 2 programs, the ones who face off in the second game tomorrow night, they're the real tradition-rich, especially in the past decade or so in Division III. These 2, Virginia Wesleyan and Stevens Point, they're really Division III men's basketball team.
Yeah.
Virginia Wesleyan,
they're the perennial top 25 teams, and perennial conference runs for championship type scenarios, perennial in the tournament.
Yeah, Stevens Point won those back-to-back titles 2004, 2005, and Virginia Wesleyan won it the next year. Got all the way back to the title game the following season. That is those are 2 programs that Stevens Point obviously built itself back up. Platteville was the dominant force in that when we started when we were kids. And Virginia Wesleyan, the ODAC has been it's been all over the place, right? Macon and Hampton City
have been here. But Virginia Wesleyan's the only one who's been. Well, Randolph-Macon made it in 2010. I can't forget about that. But
never got Guilford too.
And Guilford made a tremendous run to the tournament. I was pretty impressed. So you've got the traditionals. You're right. Then on the flip side of that, you've got 2 programs in Augustana who actually have been in the Final Four, but not in what we call the Salem era, which is really the let's call it the modern era of Division III.
Okay with that.
Yeah.
People who have been around longer might disagree.
Maybe, but I'm going to call it modern era. And then you've got Babson, who's only had one other athletic program go this far, go to the soccer program.
Yeah, I think they have ice hockey won a national title too.
Oh,
right. In the early 80s. But yeah, men's soccer went to the Final Four.
Uncharted, and I would argue it's uncharted for Augustana too, because it's not like Greg Giovanni has been down this road. It's not like obviously these players certainly. It's been 2 decades, so a lot has changed. So yes, they're back to the Final Four, but they really do. So you got a matchup in the 5:30 game of newbies. You got a matchup in the 8 o'clock game of perennials. But what's really interesting is you got 4 drastically different teams that have one thing in common.
The defense?
Yeah.
That was what you were going to say.
Defense is what all 4 of these teams can do, but what's really interesting is all 4 of them can also ratchet up the offense. Obviously, Augustana showed that in scoring 100 points against Marietta while showing off their defense. Babson has certainly shown that off. While not having a tremendously high-scoring affair against Hopkins, they have been able to put their foot down offensively, and they may have the best inside duo here this weekend. Then on the flip side of that, you've got Virginia Wesleyan, whose defense against Roanoke was incredibly impressive, especially in the first half. But they definitely can go up tempo. They definitely can change the pace of the game.
The last 2 years,
yeah, and
have been the best years in their program.
And if they hit 10 threes in a game, they tend to. I think actually they're undefeated. I think they're undefeated.
A lot of programs not being able to.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously, you're scoring 30 points just
Well, and then Stevens Point, I think this may be the best defensive Stevens Point team that I've ever seen. You hold an East Texas Baptist team to 28 points
and 8 in the first half.
I mean, it's not. I mean, listen. Even if East Texas Baptist is having an off night, they're still putting up more than 28 points. And so I think this. And the other thing about the Stevens Point team is this is an unassuming team. They basically play 6 starters, and I mean that in the sense that they got 5 starters. They bring their 6th man off the bench. He gets the single. He just doesn't score the double figures that the top guys do. And they don't go much deeper than that. They've got some other guys that they'll bring in and get some minutes here and there, but it's primarily a six-member team, and they play like a team. And that's, remember the Cowsell and the Bennett. Remember those 2 years with those two, they had a great team. They had other parts on that team that were tremendous, but those two alone were an incredible duo.
Two All-Americans. And they may not have any.
They might not.
They're just so super balanced with those five guys.
Absolutely.
Like 10.2 and 11.
Yeah, it's not like they're and that certainly has some advantages to it, but the disadvantage to it is you end up not getting awards. But that is what it is. Sometimes the team is more important than the individual, and they're proving it. So you've got 4 very incredibly different teams who are going to probably put on, despite whatever the score is, it's high scoring or low scoring, still put on the highest defensive effort. And probably the defense will still be the story, even if it's a 70 or something game. But I think you get 4 it's. I've been asked all day, who's your pick? And all day my answer's been, I've got no clue. I could go through and give you a reason why all 4 teams would win. By the way, I did make a reference that I thought Babs could be argued, despite being the 4th ranked team, at least the highest ranked of the 4 here. They're being undersold. They're being lowballed. A lot of people think they're not even. They're number 3.
Because they're a new team here, and also not in the power.
But I would argue that they made the happy without her bond. It's somebody like that in the last 15 years who has been that team on top. A greedy team that is a championship. They can't beat oh my gosh, they're the champion. Well, they can't beat so and Catholic just won by 15. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not saying it's going to happen on Babson, but I have that feeling about it.
Well, and wouldn't it just be appropriate the way this whole season has gone, and a good portion of this tournament? Yeah, it's not predictable. And that's what makes for a great season. I don't like it when you come here and you've got one team who is preordained head, shoulders, and torso above the rest, and then goes on and wins the title by 20.
Stevens Point second time.
That would have been exactly what I was referring to. But yeah, exactly. This is when you have it. We have the excitement all the way to the final weekend, final day, hopefully the final minutes of the final day, like we've had just a few times over the course of the past few years. Looking forward to it.
Well, and it just continues to get. I talk about having a dark horse here, that I could see a couple dark horses making runs. And while we don't have traditional dark horse, I think the fact that you do have Babson here, the fact that you do have Augustana here, The fact that you have teams that maybe people wouldn't have predicted. Let's all admit it, maybe Stevens wasn't necessarily the ones they thought coming out of that area.
I mean, even
And Augustana, we knew was going to have a battle to try and do it.
Late into the season, Stevens
Oh,
Point,
yeah.
Frankly, entering the NCAA tournament, Stevens Point wasn't necessarily seen as the best team in the WIAC, and was, preseason number 7, and people were saying that is way too high for them. I agree.
Yeah, I don't even think I had him on my ballot.
We remember what the preseason before the year was like. It was a crapshoot. I can say that.
Oh, absolutely. Throw it up in the air and see what falls where. Because there were so many. Williams was 5, and I had him 20. But that's because I think that shows is not that anyone was right, it's the voters were everywhere.
Yeah, and how unpredictable it was. But as the season goes on, a team without individual standout stars like that team is, they can still develop into something.
And that's also hard to gauge.
Yeah, exactly. You can't put that doesn't come out of the paper. But we'll talk about some of the numbers tomorrow. But the thing that comes most keenly for them is playing with the short rotation. Really likes the ability to do that. They're a different setup than they are in the WIOC. You have some media time on top, not the whole slate.
I talked to, we talked to the game attorney, Catholic Albernia. Could have been a game of who's going to fewest subs possible.
Who's going to sub?
And ever. Right. Albernia was 6 guys basically playing, and Catholic was 7. Well, you're going to see a little bit of that out of Stevens Point.
Tomorrow when you're broadcasting, it's only 6 or 7 guys you got.
Yeah, it shortens the roster real quick. And when the oddball comes in, whoa, wait a minute, who's this guy? I didn't know he was on the NCAA roster. I think they only submitted 7.
I mean, I think if you remember back, if you followed the Power Stars team,
yeah.
The guys with the big names from a couple years ago, the Tiller teams,
Picatilla and Anything. Hey.
Austin Rick is a guy you'll remember. I keep looking for them in the West region. It's been that way all year. Austin Rick, Alex Richard, Joe Ritchie, those are the guys who were supporting characters, supporting cast to Dan Tucker the previous few years. And they're coming out and they're showing what they're able to do with more playing time. Those are the names that you'll recognize if you haven't paid attention to them because you've been watching Cordell Young or KJ Evans or whatever in that conference.
One interesting, I got a great email from a parent, probably safe to say, Richie. How great is this? They came down to support their son for a championship back in 2010. Yeah, they're back again. Their other sons on this team.
Vinny before and Joe.
Now, I'll be. By the way, I want to point out I will be leaving this broadcast in about an hour or so to head up to the NCAA championship to do a roundtable. I do have a question for Bob Sendlin at that roundtable. I don't think he got the memo. The Bennett's coached for 9 years at Stevens Point, and they got the court. Their names are on the court. He's in his 10th, so I don't think he knew that he could only go 9. But I'm wondering if he's going for something big. I wonder if he's got one. I think his name could be on something better than that. Maybe it's not an ulterior motive. Just say.
All right, good to know. And it's a guy whose name comes up whenever Green Bay comes open, whenever Milwaukee comes open, and that's kind of the way. That's the way that Bo Ryan went up through the ranks, and he's obviously making hay right now in Wisconsin Madison. And won 4 titles at Platinum, but he's had to have a stop in Milwaukee. Nobody's going to go straight from Division III, even back-to-back unbeaten or back-to-back title years, and then go directly to a Big Ten team. But that is kind of the way that it goes. Nobody really seems to go to either Parkside, which is the D2 school. You're either going to Green Bay or Milwaukee, and I don't think I've forgotten anyone behind the UW system because also, and this is actually a very significant motivating factor, which makes a lot of sense. It's the same pension system. These guys have lives and want to retire well and
absolutely
continue to accrue into the Wisconsin state system.
What's the saying? They're not idiots.
Is that a saying?
It's my saying. They're looking at that absolutely and saying, "Well, geez, there's no way that I can stay in the system and keep everything and just move schools, get more money." That's a tremendous move. Yeah. Sure. He is back on Dave McHugh. We're here at the Corned Beef and Company. This is a great place in Roanoke. If you ever get the opportunity to come and check it out, it is pretty much, I always describe it as about 6 different places all crammed into, not crammed, but all kind of connected into one. You got a traditional bar that you initially walk into. You got a nice upper floor off of there that's got a nice view. You can get a really nice Belgian meal. You hang a left, we're in the more of a more traditional, more modern bar where they got a dance floor and karaoke on the gate, but that's connected to a brick oven eating area. And of course, off of that is the billiards room. The billiards. Then there's an upstairs, it's more like a club. It's really great. And good food, by the way, which is being served thanks to our good friend Paige Moyer.
So tell us a little bit, just remind our listeners a little bit more about this event.
So this is our second annual Hoopsville Coaches Reception. This year, teaming up with our friends at Sportsville, Fred Seymour here joining us, conversing with coaches. We basically have a who's who of NABC coaches here right now. We'll have more later as they filter into town, or for example, someone who had to go take care of the All-Star team has arrived into town themselves. But for example, Mike McGrath is chatting with Gary Stewart. Those two faced off at the Hoopsville Classic. Next then is Jason Zimmerman, who next year the Hoopsville Classic. We'll talk to Gary later and maybe sneak out a few of those names. I can't tell who's next to Jason Zimmerman. Who that is, but you get
Also,
Hodgepodge, Pat Cunningham, of course, our good old friend.
Dan Priest from Kenyon is here. Case Western Reserve.
Even Jim Shaw, former head coach at Rose Holman, is here. Gustavus at Belfast.
Yeah, and we'll talk to some of these coaches. I mean, because
we talk. Yep. Mike. Turner. And we've already seen Charlie Brock, for example, from Springfield, who will return later.
And so we'll talk to some of these coaches. They've seen these teams play, some of them played against them. And when you mentioned Charlie Brock, Springfield
might know.
Fast teams.
A gut feeling you might have a good reason. By the way, another interesting thing is the Northeast Committee Chair is a Coast Guard guy. Of course, he knows Babson well. Had great conversations with him. He is a former D1 administrator at West Point, being the Coast Guard, and has been given the reins to be able to change things at Coast Guard. I had some fascinating conversations yesterday, and also about him being on the committee and his take on things. He probably can't share a lot of what he wants. We don't need to give everything away, but a fascinating point of view. Yeah, well, technically I have a rule when I'm in Sydney. If there is a beer in the hand, or just having conversation, which is why there's a Coke in my table here for the show, because we're on the record. Yeah, it'd be a little awkward. I would love something to eat. By the way, I had not mentioned this in the 25 minutes, but you can interact with us via Twitter at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. You can also email us, hoopsville at d3hoops.com, or join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. I want to point out that I'm kind of did the math, realized it's my 15th consecutive trip to Salem for usual championships, as we put it out, really 14. As we had 4 years. My first one, Pat, was, of course, when your alma mater shocked the world.
It shocked me.
It shocked you, yeah. Winning the national championship. Of course, that was a rival. You would think all the birds might have been eaten. But it was so wonderful that first time. They've done amazing things since then. And, Pat, I always say that they always are trying to evolve.
Yeah, and so
they're never satisfied.
Yeah, and so I know we know a couple of things that they're doing this year. I want you to tell us.
Yeah, so a few things we've already seen. Obviously, last year they added screens in the building so that you could see the game on the screen, replays like that. They're adding to that even, coordinating with the PA announcers and stuff, so there'll be specific videos. They're even going to put like a recap of semifinals ahead of the championship.
With some guy with television experience doing something about it.
And then they've added some high-tech lighting above to kind of make the starting lineups a little bit cool, kind of almost NBA-esque. A little pyro in there. Apparently, when they kill the lights and run spotlights, they have Instagram lights that they installed years ago. They may, I've talked to Terry about this, I don't know if they figured it out quite yet, but there is a way to actually limit light recording. Not sure if they'll do that this year or not. This year, the championship dinner, which is taking place in about an hour's time, is going to take place on the floor. And so everything today got moved up so that they could get the practice times in and allow time to turn around. Of course, dinner's usually at 7, so it's at 7:30, but the practice times moved up probably about an hour and a half maybe earlier than normal. All I know is I had to be at the Civic Center far earlier than I normally am on the Thursday. And they've added some great huge pictures on the walls of former champs. The banners have been improved. I don't know how many I don't know if all of them are there, but they continue to evolve this event and improve. And Kerry will tell you, he's never satisfied.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that is the result of the NCAA allowing this championship to be hosted by the San Francisco chance to you get the basics down. This championship moves around a lot. You have it for a year, figure out what you're doing, and then by the time your second year hosting, it's already been a one-less experience. But this championship, you figure out the basics for 2 to 3 years. And just give that time to make sure that everybody just going to run through this, all the things that you've done since you make sure that everybody, the fans are behind there,
or at least across.
Right, exactly. Or upgrade the floor, upgrade the seating, upgrade the background, the walls, covering the
lighting.
Upgraded the lighting. They were instrumental in bringing streaming video to this championship, which I'm not sure would have happened without that for years. They've obviously the coaches have really flocked to this now, so it's a destination for the NABC Division III coaches, which is certainly helpful. Their seating set aside for them. Yep. And they really get a lot out of the atmosphere. They feel welcome. Along with the public address situation being upgraded on a regular basis. They've added the NABC All-Star Game, which is part of this process now, which didn't used to be part of it before. The Salem folks had a hand in helping that happen, but also obviously the sponsors and the NCAA. And I'm sure there was probably 2 or 3 other things that I wanted to say that kind of slipped my mind. It's a lot of stuff that they've done in the 15 years they've had this championship. 20 years they've had this championship.
They got these cool tunnels for football.
Yep.
They brought them into basketball.
The teams enter.
Just a
There's a pep band here every year.
Yeah. And I hope they're raise money.
Well, they're coming anyway.
Okay. How much it hurts them?
Exactly. How much of that is going to come out of the pocket of the students?
And I've seen Kerry at other championships because he was picking up. He did what in Atlanta? I'm like, dude, it's Atlanta. It's like, yeah, but I can do that. And he's never given up. So, and here's the thing. I was talking to Brian Lush, who's going to be a play-by-play guy for the NCAA broadcast. I was talking to him and said, listen, you got to understand, Salem is Division III basketball. What Omaha is Division I baseball, and unfortunately Division III baseball. Hamilton is Division III baseball. And on the bigger scale that some of you guys are named Division III, Salem is to Division III basketball and Division III football what Omaha is to D1. I want to go to Salem. It's not I want to go to the Final Four. It's not I want to go to Salem. I want to go to Salem. The road to Salem.
So here's why now too. 20th season, as you mentioned, that means that every different Division III basketball player has never known being held out from the time that they've had any concept of anything being played. This is where this Division III basketball title is.
And you talk about the coaches, this perception I'll be honest. When we were in Holland back in 2013, we had the opportunity to go there for the women's championship thanks to the delay of the men's championship. Salem was the week, the weekend for Salem was actually the next weekend, so we got a chance to go. And I already knew it wasn't as grandiose as Salem. But outside of the coaches, outside of those who are on that committee who have to be there and who are coaching the games, they have to be there. It's kind of a joke. There were 2 coaches in attendance from other schools. Coach Morehouse, because they were hosting, and to be honest, we didn't see that much. they were upset earlier in the tournament. He wasn't all that thrilled. And then Shirley Eggler from Stevens Point because they were hosting the next week, which was smart. But that was it. We had 15 coaches, and none of them are committed. So, because they're all getting ready to get to dinner time. So you have 15 coaches and you're paying because this is the destination, and they make it a business. They say, okay, we're going to meet, we're going to talk about topics. They talk about this, they're planning well ahead of 2 weeks from now when they'll be on for their official meetings. But they get some stuff taken care of ahead of time. Whereas on the women's side, you tweeted this out and I forgot to follow it. I saw one reply. Okay, so I didn't miss anything. We don't know why the women's coaches don't embrace their championship. And maybe it's because they do move around. Maybe it is because they don't have a special place. I don't know. But, I'm guessing. But they also may not be as tight a group as the WBC. Now, I'm paraphrasing from the WBC because I've never been around the WBC.
No, I don't see it. They don't have.
They usually wait until the Final Four to do it.
And I think, Dave, obviously you and I can we are dropped into national coverage. This was already here. But, wasn't all it would take theoretically is 2 or 3 people who have a lot of pull within the organization, and personalities that draw other coaches to them. To put something like this together here, and that's how this started. And 2 of the people who might be able to do that at the women's basketball. And Dave, next year in 2016, it's all but buttoned up that theoretically all 3 championships were going to be
It's been rubber stamped, it's not approved.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm still holding out the fact.
Yeah, I hear you.
So they'll all the women's coaches will be there. Do we have an opportunity then to try to
make it fly?
Picture in beautiful Rochester, Minnesota.
What about an hour and a half southeast of Minneapolis?
Yeah, practically.
It's almost into Iowa.
It's like 70 miles south of the airport.
Yeah.
It's a real quick trip.
Funny that it's my 15 to 17 years. You've actually not been here
2 times.
Yeah. Right.
2 times when you missed it.
Can you also have
2004, not quite well, 2 seconds.
You had was that when Ray came down?
Yeah,
Ray came down. We all thank you for that. I know Ray's not listening, so I can have some.
Are you sure?
No. I'm guessing. I'm literally fading. And then 3 years ago.
3 years ago, I chose to go to the women's final focus on that. We were having a so we were saving I was unemployed and doing college for full-time job. So we went to the 500-mile bike drive to California. And Gordon came down and covered the Final Four. He got a chance to see it.
Oh, King Susan said he did it. The Hoopsville special from corned beef.
And we'll have guests too.
Yeah.
Talking about
You've got questions for us? Tweet us at #Hoopsville. Hoopsville, this is an audio-only broadcast. Looking forward to seeing our beautiful mugs today, but you will see that tomorrow. So we have our pregame show starting at 4:30 Eastern Time, 1 hour ahead of the championship game. It'll also get us in between semifinals, and of course we'll get the post game as well. After the second semifinal, and of course we'll be back on the air at roughly 2:30 Eastern Time on Saturday, ahead of the championship game before the All-Star game is concluded, though we will admit that time is flexible. That's concluded before we go on the air. Of course, you can see the games on NCAA.com. Links at D3Hoops.com. So just go to D3Hoops.com.
Dave will be the color guy, so there'll be somebody that's Division 3.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I needed some help. We found a way to make it work. They found you. Now they found me. So, and we made it twist. So looking forward to that. Of course, we'll also have a championship game on D3Hoops.com, audio only. The game is being broadcast on CBS Sports, but they do not web stream. Apparently, they don't believe the same thing as
Yeah, I mean, so ESPN.
CBS is going up.
CBS Sports.
Which is saying something.
I'll tell you.
Well, I'm going to have to our audio there a little bit. People out there. It's a normal setup, so we're playing with the settings a little bit. If you think the audio is not high quality that you were expecting, just bear with us as we let us know exactly what's wrong versus a generic description. That is always helpful. Again, if you've got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoops or #Hoopsville. Email us at Facebook.com/Hoopsville. I also want to talk to Brett Seymour at one point. We're going to get him on as I depart. It makes it a little easier. Maybe I'll get Gary Stewart on. I want to get him on before I depart. Take a break, so we're doing breaks loaded. It was had to load the commercials when we had to load things when we had the opportunity.
Well, why don't I do a live read and
let me see if I can actually do it. Or I can see if we have something.
But yeah, so we've got all those games tomorrow, and also we'll be talking with Gordon Mann, who will be, he sent us a video from Grand Rapids, and he said the women's Final Four at Calvin College, the beautiful Sterling, awesome family arena, so it'll be talking with us from there later in this show as well, and we'll have that for you. And we'll talk with some of these coaches, some of them who have seen and played against these teams in the Final Four, so we'll get some of the breakdown. And then tomorrow on the pregame show, we're going to have our interviews with all 4 coaches, and we'll get you more X's and O's, keys to the game, and then of course we'll get you to that NCAA.com video streaming of the national semifinal and that sort of thing. So, again, lots of stuff coming up, so we hope that you will stick with us throughout the week. And we'll be announcing all American teams on Saturday. We're probably going to be on the list for that. Your rivals at first.
I think we're back up. I just got to check them.
All right.
Yeah.
I get that. And then when presidents make those decisions, they want to line up with people who
If I, because we might be on.
that would be for you. If you're like it's off for the moment, we'll get you.
We are back live, it appears. I hope you're enjoying the show. Sorry for the technical glitches there. Every once in a while, computer technology hates us. Of course, we lost all our viewers, but we are back, and we'll get you back up and running momentarily. If you've got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoops or #Hoopsville. Email us Hoopsville at D3Hoops.com or join us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Hoopsville. At this point, probably people mainly going to listen to the archive here, but I'm Dave McHugh, and I'm now joined by Gary Stewart, head coach at Stevenson University, who ended up finishing second in the conference yet again. Sorry, Ted. But of course, had a good campaign in the BCA season. So moving forward, really the reason for bringing you on is once again talking Hoopsville Classic. We're already looking ahead to the next season. You and I have certainly been working on that. In spits and spats, and try and piece it all together. First and foremost, just kind of curious. You certainly are connected with the coaches in a different way than I do. About events like the Hoop here. There's certainly plenty of others out there as well. Why are they so effective?
Well, I think it's because of the uniqueness of the trainings. I think it's all the hard
Of course, the Hoopsville Classic the weekend before Thanksgiving. We inadvertently got ourselves on that weekend. Kind of like that. Well, it makes it a challenge too. There are certainly some teams we would love to bring in who have good tournaments themselves. The LSU, Virginia Wesleyan, the Spartans of the world. So that's we can't seem to figure that one out just yet. I've tried to convince them to do their tournaments. We still get a good crop of schools. We certainly get plenty of interest. I would say we're never at a shortage of finding teams, just finding the right teams.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot of work that goes into it. We would love to have the opportunity to meet some of the teams that have conference. And it's a historical thing on the campus, and it's hard to change that and understand that it doesn't keep us from still knocking at the door. It's essentially just whatever we do. So I've been really received.
Yeah. You want to talk about the ones we know we've penciled in for next year? Granted, things could always change. You willing to go off on a limb on that one?
Yeah, I think when I look at this,
oh,
you seem to get the best teams in the country, and I keep telling you, I'm trying to get you to look left, and you keep looking right.
You keep telling me to go call some people. I can't help it if they say yes.
Well, you've done an extraordinary job of reaching out. Start with region. Two teams. Getting here.
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah. We're going to
brought him back.
We're going to do it.
It's so nice of you.
Yeah, I thought that we probably would have
should probably participate.
at least a game.
I think what's great about St. Thomas one, I think John would really admit to it too, is that was one where we wanted him. He wasn't sure, and it wasn't this tournament, the year before. You and I are literally driving out of the building, and John calls and goes, "I'm in for 2015." Oh, hi, Coach. I hadn't talked to you in 3 weeks.
Yeah, David, I think the nice thing about that is what you and I talked about. If we do it right, and we do it right here, the best people in terms of sports, people for the tournament, we have more coaches than we
coaches will play within hours of the phone call. Hey, oh, yeah, let's talk. And all the details. St. Thomas was that great little moment where you're not through the border and getting simultaneous calls and emails from Coach Dower, who clearly has been watching the games every day. But you've also had some teams of coaches coming in. The Ken DeWeeses of the world. It's certainly retired, but outstanding coaches, and that certainly has helped. We have a few more that are on our hook, and we just haven't been able to reel them in just necessarily yet. I can tell anybody out there who's curious. We do talk to the Illinois SC and the Calvins of the world. We're working on details, maybe not for this year coming, but certainly in the future. We don't have it, but I almost joke sometimes with coaches who contact me. We call it the Hoopsville National Invitational Classic. Sometimes they're trying to invent themselves, which is, it's good. It's great that they're looking out for us, but man, I bet for you at least, sometimes it's like, oh boy, how do I figure out who to get in this meeting and who we need to talk about in the future? And that makes it fun and challenging.
Yeah, I've had a conversation with Phil Mattel. He said one of the few programs that never bought a guarantee game or participated in the and our tournament is unique in that we've never hosted weekly groups seeking teams. And so that's unique for a tournament.
Especially as big as it is.
Yeah, and we certainly reach out to programs that score but we also keep an eye on programs that are moving. Get some points over
Salisbury's another great.
Yep, Salisbury. Josh is doing an amazing job. This program is certainly deserving of national attention. One of the best players in the country. Look up
Catholic goes through these two touchdown teams, and then goes rolling through the season, catching everybody.
Yeah, I get that first meet at the games that we looked at it 3 hours in the morning because a couple of those games in overtime and the others were going to the last possession.
I've got to fix our schedule.
It was a good thing. It was a good problem to have. It felt like you and I were trying to
that'd be nice. Let's just be honest.
Right. Brandy about who travels well and style regions. Right.
Because we don't want St. Let's say St. Thomas. Who else is in that area? But let's just say one of those or Whitewater. Matchups. Those St. Thomas. We want to match up with somebody they don't like. So that makes it fun. Tiring sometimes. We have to find the right matchup. Yeah.
Two teams.
Same region, but never played there.
Right. Two teams that play at the top of certainly felt like the team that would come out of Hoopsville with 2 wins at any time.
You guys have had a lot of fun kind of on the doorstep of getting the this is 4, and I'm sure there's others in there. Quite Mercy didn't end up having the season we all expected. Purchase but the breeding was certainly in the mix, made the NCAA another. But still, it's fun to put all those pieces together. Is there any one thing you'd like to improve? We're constantly trying to improve because we're still trying to make it. anything that's in your head that you're like, I really want to do that?
Well, I think the thing that I keep fighting for, and on this conversation, too, is that we're going to get as many of the common programs. We spoke to our lawyers and some of these coaches, and that's been a challenge. We've had a bit of
Let me know when you want me to be back. He's done at 7, right? I think so. 7:30.
track teams from common conferences.
Certainly a great place too. It's easy to fly into. My hook all the time is we're not that far from historical educational places in Baltimore and DC. A lot of schools have taken advantage of that. Catholic, I'm not Catholic, I was Transylvania, Chicago. Two years ago, throughout DC.
Franciscan
did, yeah. Chicago did that last year. So, sometimes when I'm talking with them, it's like, hey, make this an educational part of your stuff.
Secretary of Education.
It made for an interesting book.
It did. It's a real special. I think anybody that's been to it's amazing.
I was just going to say, Stevenson puts together a heck of a crew. They work tirelessly to put it together. They're not falling down. Maybe in the office, they put it all together. I'll do it also people out of Woodward. And they do it. We can focus on coaching. I can focus on the media side. It's a great crew there.
Yeah, I think our meetings amazing.
Yeah.
But it comes out well.
One last question about it. I mean, the host. Let's argue you have the pick of the league. You can decide as a host who you really want to play. Somebody, for some reason, Jersey will carry it on, which doesn't really But what's going through your mind as you look at that? You're looking for the 9 other programs that are there, and there's some that you're not going to play for out. Let's say a conference or you played that team 600 times. But what are you trying to do? You're in a unique situation where you're trying to start your season. Well, you're also thinking about March at the same time and how to position yourself. I realize you have strategy, but I'm kind of curious what kind of mentality, what kind of thinking are you trying to pull off when you do try to schedule your own 2 games?
Yeah, well, Dave, I think the first thing is national board of coaches. I've got to look at the second part of that is to protect the integrity of the tournament. I have to make sure and then and so we kind of look at the whole thing and look at matchups. Last year, we probably 3 hours of matchups and looking at this as opposed to this. It's kind of like,
Probably had 4 different meetings.
right.
We were probably tougher last year than the previous 2.
Right. And so I think we came up with something that we really like. I think you said something, and all of a sudden we adjusted it, and I think that adjustment said 6 different scenarios.
It unraveled.
And so we ended up getting what we really felt good about. But for those that don't understand all the complexity of the game, you and I really don't mean and we feel good about it. So one of the skills we feel good about, we really hash that out and reflection of the team. We put a lot of thought into it.
Well, it's kind of interesting. Let's be honest. I think this is a unique scenario. You have a coach who understands that side of what he's trying to accomplish with his team. So I might say to you, I can't do so-and-so. And you're thinking, you know what, I need to get somebody else in this place, maybe not them. For whatever your reasons, so you can come from different points of view with the same mentality, which is kind of weird. You know, I'm coming from, well, let me encourage you to do that. You're coming from this. And while both of us have the same global point of view, we want to make sure we have the right matchups to help this from this way. We don't want to blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of interesting because we're coming from those different points of view that you don't always see at other times.
Right. Look at some teams that have athletic, up and down. So it's interesting to throw those together and see a team
Talking to Gary Stewart here, head coach for Stevenson. I think we just found out we may have had the wrong audio because, you know, we do things the hard way sometimes.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, it's still a thing. See, you know, I don't normally have this set up. I have a studio at home. It is quiet. I am done. I know there's good folks in it. Sometimes it just doesn't.
But for a basketball program, it's good to see you back and work on.
Test, test. See?
People can't hear me.
Yeah.
This is going really well, Dave.
You are a lucky man. See, it's registering like I'm talking.
But here, I got nothing.
Well, it's going to come to you in a moment.
Okay. You say so?
That's just. We are trying to do the show from our broadcast position at Corn Beach. Coming off the computer.
Yeah, you're definitely having that.
Yeah, so we're going to take a break. I appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Good talking to you.
Good talking to you. We'll do a better interview at another time. There we go. We're going to take a break, a natural sound break, and figure out what the heck's going on with our audio here. Before we, you know what we'll do? We'll run Gordon Mann's interview up at the Final Four in women's. He talked to the Thomas More crew.
Although I was hoping to use that while you were going.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? Actually, I'm not going to be able to solve the problem if I do that anyway. So we will actually not do that. Think about it. So we'll take a break. Natural sound break. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com, the National Association of Basketball Coaches, the City of Salem, of course, viewers like you. After this.
We're just trying to get the sound of
I don't understand.
the background.
I don't know.
Yeah, you know what it sounds like, right? It's exactly as you described.
Coming
It's
right
coming
off
out
the
of
ear.
it. Yeah, exactly.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I hear you, but I'm not gonna try to help you because it's you.
got a technical problem. He doesn't like me. Yeah, it's definitely.
Test. Test, test. Yep. Test, test. There we go. So now we're good. Forgive us, folks. It's never easy trying to do our shows remotely, but we're back, and we're live, and now I can hear myself a little bit better, and I hope you can hear us, and that should prove to be better a little bit later down the road. I am your host, Dave McHugh, broadcasting from Corned Beef for just a few more minutes before I'm going to hand the reins over to Pat and go recruit some coaches to join him. Yeah, it's going to be loud, and then it's going to come back down. We settled on the audio. Apologize for the craziness, folks. I know you're probably going, jeez, once again, here we go again. No, we're back, and it's working. If you've got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville, hashtag Hoopsville, email us hoopsville@d3hoopsville.com. Join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Hoopsville. I think I've gone through most of these things. That's interesting.
And so as over the course of the last hour plus of this show, we'll be talking with some of the coaches who are in attendance here. We'll be chatting with Jason Zimmerman, the head coach of Emory men's basketball, who, of course, played both Wisconsin-Stevens Point and Virginia Wesleyan this year.
I think they might know a little bit about them.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get to talk about both of those teams, and I invited him on to talk about that in the pregame show, the sandwich show between the two games tomorrow, so he can help us break those two games down, or break those two teams down for that one game, the second national semifinal. We'll talk with Brett Seymour of Sport Tours International coming up in probably about 10 minutes or so, 10-15 minutes, about the D3Hoops.com Classic coming up in Las Vegas next December, approximately the 27th to the 30th. We've got 7 men's teams and 4 women's teams who have signed on the dotted line. Their contracts are in. They are coming. We've talked about them on Twitter. We've got a couple spots open, and of course, Sport Tours International does some other holiday and destination tournaments as well, and they also do summer foreign tours. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll talk.
They're a busy group.
They are. They've got a lot going on, and we'll talk with some of the other coaches. I see that Shaka Smart trails 73-70 in overtime. His Virginia Commonwealth University Rams, is that right? Trail Ohio State University. With a couple minutes left in overtime. But Kenyon, of course, is where Shaka Smart played his collegiate ball, so hopefully we'll have Dan Priest to talk about what that means to Kenyon, if anything. I don't know if he's rooting for Shaka Smart at Kenyon or rooting for Ohio State, because he's from the state of Ohio. But and, of course, Dave will be going on to the championship banquet, which is taking place momentarily at the Salem Civic Center. So we will... I will be letting him go, but I'll be talking to any coach who will be willing to strap on a microphone. And there's about a dozen Division III head coaches here, and maybe about 20 to 25 people total in attendance here for this Hoopsville coaches reception, also presented by Sport Tours International here at Corned Beef and Company in beautiful downtown, wet and rainy downtown Roanoke here. Mostly the coaches bring their golf clubs, and I'm not sure there was a lot of golfing done today.
If they got here yesterday, they could have gotten a nice round in. They won't do it Saturday because the games are early enough to never mind.
They could do it tomorrow, not Saturday. Yeah,
tomorrow's not supposed to be great either, by the way.
Well, hopefully they have fun.
Also,
then.
Sean McDonough. Hopefully, we'll get on the show.
Sean McDonald of Case Western Reserve University. We'll talk to him.
On it, as well.
And
I know. I got good food in front of me here. The good food.
There we go.
Corned beef. So good times. I know we had some audio problems early. We apologize, folks. Did not realize we were coming in from the wrong source.
Here we go.
Yeah, no wonder nobody could hear us. It was just a random mic.
Yep. And, we're not supposed to be providing play-by-play of the games that are going on your television right now.
No,
but I know
that is the big attraction.
The one coached by the D3 grad is down by 3 with the ball and the shot clock off with 22.5 to go and taking a timeout. So we'll
big upset if it happens.
If you're not watching that one, somebody will switch you to it soon. I'm sure you can watch it on TNT.
And a reminder, by the way,
they know drama.
Yeah,
they're getting it here in the final 22 seconds.
Well done.
Hey.
A reminder that we'll be on the air at 4:30 Eastern Time tomorrow for the hour-long pregame ahead of the NCAA broadcasts of the semifinals games. Of course, first one is Augustana versus Babson. We'll then go in between the broad games to semifinals ahead of the Virginia Wesleyan Stevens Point game, and then we'll come on the air after that and our post-game coverage. Also on Saturday, we'll go on the air roughly 4:30. It depends on 4:30 or the end of the All-Star game, or not 4:30. I apologize, 2:30. Whichever happens second, the clock at 2:30 or the game ending. Whichever is the last to happen.
And the All-Star game starts at 12:30.
Yeah,
and those games go quickly.
Yeah,
so
it should be over. And the reason it's so early is because they don't want to mess around with TV too much.
Yep, so there's 2.5 hours between the start of that and the start of the title game, which is at 3, right? So, is that right?
No, 3:30.
Is that 3:30?
So
okay.
3 hours.
So we're not going to do more than an hour of pregame, even for the national championship game, because we did
only
not.
So much you can talk.
Well,
about.
we did not bring the whole cast of thousands, just the cast of 2.
Yes.
So, but we will talk about, of course, the things that happened in the Friday night semifinals, and we'll get you ready for that national championship game, and we'll have live audio of the national title game for you because of rights restrictions, but Dave and I will be calling that game, and then we'll be back on camera post-game to break it all down and all the great stuff as Ohio State rebounds it with 7.5 to go and is trying to run out the clock, and we'll go to the line here, but We'll talk about all that stuff going on as we wind down the final days of the 2014-2015 Division III Men's Basketball Championship season. And what a season it has been, Dave. We came into the year knowing we did not have a prohibitive favorite, right?
Yep.
We knew that Wisconsin Whitewater, the defending national champs, lost a little bit. They were still we thought they would still be in contention. They were in contention, even if they got knocked out on the first full day of the tournament. We knew that traditional powers Amherst and Williams were likely to stumble. Amherst lost one of the best players in its history. Williams lost its coach, lost seniors, lost a freshman.
Might have been the best player they had in their history.
Yeah, or it could be a really good player for the University of Michigan next year and beyond. We'll see. We'll get to see what Duncan Robinson can do for Division III in a Division I uniform starting next year for the Wolverines in Ann Arbor, Michigan. But
behind the scenes, it sounds incredible.
It does. He's had a good year of practice, so they say. And he has to sit out a year, of course, because he's moving up a level. So if you're thinking of moving up a level, stay here in Division III. We like you. That's why we cover you.
Yeah.
So as Dave mentioned, hashtag Hoopsville, hashtag D3H, at Hoopsville, at D3Hoopsville on Twitter. You can see us on the front page of D3Hoops.com right now. So
I got a couple more minutes before I'm going to jet out of here. I think we'll get somebody. We could just do that now.
Get somebody good to talk to. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll try and procure that for you.
Appreciate that.
I see Mr. Brault Seymour over there. So the inadvertent producing while talking.
Hey,
I'm just going to put my mic down and let Brett step in, and I'm going to call my night a night. Pat, go as long as you want to go. Thank you very much for helping.
Okay, so we'll have another 7 minutes of show.
Yeah, touche. Yeah, and I'll real quick. I'll just
you're going to teach me how to produce this show. That'll be good. It's been a little while.
You click that. You click that. You click that.
Okay.
And click that.
Yeah. All right. That seems reasonable.
You click that. You click that. And you click that.
And we don't have any spots lined up.
No,
right?
It's too.
It crashed the machine last time, so we don't want to do that. That's all right. And as we mentioned before, this is an audio-only show because logistics. It gets us theoretically, you should have a much better audio performance out of us now. So hopefully you guys are listening in, and we thank you for joining us here on Hoopsville. If you're not joining us live, you're joining us on the archive, and we definitely appreciate you joining us here. It's a 12,000 game Division III basketball season. Comes down to the final 4 games of women's basketball and the final 3 games of men's basketball here over the course of the next couple of days. But Division III basketball extends off into the off season. People are already planning ahead for 2015-16. I know we are here, both Dave at the Hoopsville Classic, who, if you have really good ears and were able to discern Dave talking with Gary Stewart earlier, you heard a little bit about what the Hoopsville Classic is looking like next year. A lot of great teams coming there. And now I'm joined by Brett Seymour of Sport Tours International, who I would say helps us, but really runs the D3Hoops.com Classic. We just get to come out, put our name on it, broadcast some games, have a good time during the 5 minutes of downtime in Las Vegas, and really kind of try to make that event feel like big time for the schools. But Brett, first of all, welcome to the show. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Matt. Good to see you.
Sitting in, and we appreciate you, kind of stepping into this this little shindig here, where we have a good number of Division III coaches here in Salem. But thank you for helping participate in this.
Yeah, thank you. It's a good deal for us. Division III is a huge part of our business, and it's a part that I think sustains us. And I like how you said about the D3Hoops.com Classic being a big-time field. That's the same arena. We do the same stuff for our Division I men's and women's tournaments that we do at the D3 Hoops Classic, and that's true. Same stuff, it's the same deal.
Yeah, the floor that whoever played on 2 weeks prior is the same one that the D3 teams will be sitting in. And also too, one of the things that I like about it is it's a bigger gym or an arena. It's really an arena, and it's the kind of place where if you're going to advance in the NCAA tournament and you're going to play in a bigger arena like you are this weekend in Salem, you don't want to be someone who's only played in 1,200 or 800 seat gyms, and you get a chance at the D3Hoops.com Classic to come out, see a bigger facility, which got different shooting sight lines, and have a whole different feel.
I think that's a huge deal, and even with you guys being there, Pat, and you're broadcasting every game, video every game, interviewing players after the game, and that just makes it something that they advance to the NCAA tournament, national tournament, they're going to do that. They're going to interview. They're going to be in media. People are going to talk to them.
That's right.
And it's a pretty big deal, and it just I like doing that. And I have to say, the partnering with you guys has made it took the tournament to a different level. We talk all the time in our office that we're amazed at D3hoops.com and your D3football.com. I don't know of a site that is related to. You could go to ESPN.com and not get the same content that you can go to D3hoops.com. And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting there. It is a clearinghouse with the live links, and it is phenomenal. And I tell people, if anybody wants to know anything about D3 basketball or football or baseball, just go to that site. You don't need to go anywhere else. I mean, you're doing all the work of the SIDs. The SIDs out there need to cut you a check, Pat. Well, they don't have much money of their own, and they're doing enough work too. I know.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of work on our behalf. We get a lot of content contributed from sports information directors, and that's one of the big things that makes this thing go. And then we're out there pulling live links, as you said. We've got columnists covering Division III. Dave does this show twice a week, from January through March, and once a week at the beginning of the season. So, yeah, there's a lot of we have a lot of fun covering Division III basketball and Division III football. And Jim Dixon, our friend, has a lot of fun covering baseball. And let's see, Ray Biggs and Matthew Webb on D3Hockey.com. So it's been a lot of fun. And we've been doing the basketball thing since 1997. So it's been this is a year 17 or year 18 for D3Hoops.com.
It's amazing. And also, you also got us into a partnership with Presto. I think your website's great. Presto Sports does our website, and they're it's good because they're they don't do every Division III site, but there's a network there that helps us.
Yeah.
And from our standpoint, it's just good to be tied into that network. There's the number. How many Division III schools?
435.
Yeah,
or something like that total.
And they're out there, and it's just a place for them to go. And in today's media age with Twitter and Facebook, it's no different than being with all the stuff you're doing. They're getting tons of exposure. I mean, it's all kinds of exposure through everything you guys do, and it's just it's a fantastic little community. I tell people all the time, go to D3hoops.com, but actually first tell them, and you can vouch for this, go to Division III basketball games. Yeah. Everybody thinks you can only watch Division I games. You go to Division III basketball games, there are some really great players. And if you're a high school kid who think you can play, go to a Division III game and you may find out you're not as good as you thought you were, and that's okay,
Yeah, because you have an opportunity. You still have an opportunity to play. You have an opportunity to get better. You just may not step in and start if you were not the best person on your high school team.
It's not as those guys who are playing Division III and the tournament down here this weekend. Those are really, really, really good players. I mean, they are Augustana won a Division I exhibition game against Bradley, so they're good teams. I mean, it's a pretty high level basketball. It's not just a bunch of guys just wrecking in their mural game.
Exactly. Let's talk about this upcoming D3Hoops.com Classic, which is I would guess December 27th to 30th or thereabouts in 2015. Las Vegas at the South Point Arena Hotel Casino Equestrian Center Arena Massage Parlor movie theater and everything else and on Las Vegas Boulevard in Las Vegas. Now, I know that we have 7 men's teams locked up who've signed on the dotted line, unless someone else has added in the last week.
Nope.
So it's we're welcoming Calvin, Whitworth, Mary Hardin Baylor, St. Vincent, Pacific Lutheran, Ramapo, Wisconsin Stout. So I know that at least ostensibly there's at least one spot open, and I know we've sometimes had more than 8 teams. But tell the folks out there maybe who are on the fence or might be looking at 2016 what the Classic is all about.
It's a great event, and as Pat mentioned, we have to be grateful to the South Point. You go to the South Point, and you don't have to leave there.
Yeah.
You stay in the
Some
hotel.
days we don't.
Yeah. Well, I know. Pat and Dave are there. They don't see the sun for about 5 days. I'm sure their wives, when they get home, wonder what they've been doing. I mean, they're at the gym. Tim Austin, who's always there. Tim doesn't see the sun for 5 days. It's a lot of games, and we laugh all the time about the number of teams we need to get, but we'll take them. But it's at the South Point. You drive in, you get there. They have a 4,000-seat arena attached to the hotel. Walk down. There's 10, 11 restaurants. Like you said, there's a 20-screen movie theater, a 60-lane bowling alley.
I haven't been bowling. I got to go bowling.
They also have a brand new. They have a brand new championship bowling center. To all the championship professional bowling will be at the South Point. It's pretty remarkable. it's a great all-inclusive. All-inclusive is maybe not the right word, but they go play, stay, don't have to get on a bus maybe for a practice, play in a big arena, as you said, great floor, great baskets, and the competition's good. It's been really good. We've had really good teams. I don't know if we've had any national champions, but we've had.
Well, and in Stevens Point has been there. I don't remember if
couple
they
times.
went on to win, but
Right,
they've coming off of championship type seasons. They've been there, and Whitworth's been there a couple of times, and they've gone deep into the tournament. And we're getting Calvin, who's been a threat. They've been in the Elite Eight. St. Vincent went to the NCAA tournament this year. Ramapo's been in the past, so and there's a spot open if you want to. What we'll do is we'll try to get you good games. Theoretically, if I get you a game you can win, and then a game where you stretch yourself. When we're putting the pairings together, that's what I want to see. I want to see good matchups, stuff that's not going to happen during the regular season. So Calvin and Whitworth, who are meeting not quite halfway across the country, but coming from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Spokane, Washington, I feel pretty good that we're going to match them up next year.
I tell coaches, if they come out and they win a game, that's a game I schedule. If they lose, that's Pat and Dave.
I see.
So when they're angry about the schedule, it's usually Pat and Dave. But if they're happy with it, it's something that we did in our office. But I'm really grateful too that Division III coaches generally are open to playing other good teams, which you would think would be something everybody does, but that's not the case. Yeah. I give Matt at Whitworth credit. He wants to play good games next year. He says, give me the best two teams I have. And also to coaches, if you're listening, you thought, I'd like to go to Vegas. It's good, but we're not that level. There's games for you, too. I mean, it's not like exactly. It's all top 20 teams.
Right. We named off a bunch of teams, some of whom, this year we had teams there who, didn't compete for the NCAA tournament and finished probably in the middle of the pack in their conference, or some of them even lower. But we try to match. We don't want to get you obliterated, because we want you guys to have a good time and have something that's appropriate to your competitive level, and then have something that's going to stretch you too. Yeah. Right? We want you guys to come out of the tournament having learned something about your team and having figured out what you need to work on, because conference play is coming up.
And I know budgets aren't unlimited at that level. And you pay for this. Would never want a coach to say, hey, Brett, I paid this amount of money. We went out there and got our butts kicked twice, and it was a terrible experience. I'm sensitive to that. Yeah. I mean, that's not something we want to do. If you don't have a good time, what's it worth to you? Yeah. But at the same time, Pat, if you are looking for competitive games that help your resume come March, you can get those games, and that's a chance that I'm sure games have. People have won a game in Vegas that's helped them get in the tournament. Honestly, I don't think that's a lie. I think it has, for sure.
Yeah, I think we could point to some cases, absolutely.
Yeah. The women's side, too. I mean, I know this is the men's Final Four. We have women's spots. It's a men's, women, which I like that dynamic. You have both teams there. You have men's and women's teams.
So we've got DeSales coming. I know we've got Laverne. We have Carthage, and we have Bethel. Carthage and Bethel especially. Yep. DeSales had a bit of a down year this year, but they've been traditionally pretty good. And I was talking with their folks this week. They have an injured freshman coming back who was a stud for 6 games and then got hurt. So she'll be back, and they didn't lose a lot of seniors. So DeSales will be pretty good. And we have at least 2 spots open for people who have yet to sign on the bottom line for 2015. And, again, if we ever got more than 6 women's teams willing to sign, we could probably find a spot for you, too.
Yeah, absolutely. We will only shut it down when we can't. When we get to about 10 games a day.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm out.
Yeah. We can.
Unless you're going to let me bring in more people.
Yeah, right. We will stretch it, and it's just really great to have just a great full day of basketball. We'll go at. I think times we've had the first game at 9 or 10, and the last game starts at 9, and it's 2 hours. Boom, 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 and it is cranked out over 3 or 4 days. And the South Point is gracious enough to give us the arena, and we, it's really I'm biased, but I guarantee you it's the best Division III tournament during the season outside of the Hoopsville Classic, of course.
Oh, that's fine.
Number 2.
It's a best open tournament. Dave's is an invitation.
Yes,
you have to meet certain criteria in order to even get an invite.
I know. I know how Dave is. Dave is kind of he's kind of an elitist like that. They have to. He invite only. It's not for the middle and the common man. Dave kind of operates a different level. I'm honored to be sitting in the same seat that Dave had earlier. Really.
Well, I'm glad you're sitting in that seat right now. Everything is working technologically, so that's good. And thanks for joining us on Hoopsville. Remember, hashtag Hoopsville on Twitter, or tweet us at D3Hoopsville, although I should be watching that now that Dave is gone, so I will add something here in TweetDeck so I can keep track of that as well. Also at D3Hoops, and of course we got plenty of coverage coming up this weekend. We will have pre-game and then between game and post-game coverage Friday night, tomorrow night from the Salem Civic Center. And we will have the same sort of thing on Saturday. We will have pre-game for the national championship game. We will have live audio of the national championship, and then we'll get you all the way through with the post-game show as well, including interviews. And you can also find more stuff throughout the weekend on d3hoops.com. We're talking with Brett Seymour. He's of Sport Tours International, based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where they run tours, oddly enough. It makes sense. And tournaments at all levels of collegiate basketball. So other than Las Vegas, let's just say, for example, maybe you're at a school that you can't get Las Vegas, you can't get somebody to sign off on Las Vegas as a destination, even though there's lots of great stuff, and we've had, very conservative schools come to our tournament, and we're having, Calvin, a school that won't play on Sunday, right, because of religious reasons. We'll come to the Las Vegas for the tournament this year, but where else do you guys host tournaments?
We do a tournament, and one thing, too, is we do a tournament before Christmas in Daytona Beach. Because sometimes, with finals and when people want their coaches back, and that's a nice one. We stay right on the beach at the Hilton, and it's similar in that we play right across the street at the Ocean Center, so you just walk to the game. We play in a 8,000-seat arena. That's kind of something we do with our tournaments, is that if you're going to pay us to do it, you're playing in nice arenas. You're not going to play in a YMCA.
Yes, you're not going to play in a high school.
That's just something we're not going to do. We appreciate the fact that you're spending good money, so you're going to get treated. We don't, as I said earlier, it's the same in Daytona. You play in the same arena our Division I teams do. Nothing's different. So you can come to Daytona, and that's been good for us if you're in the South. We've had Hendricks, we've had Roanoke, Page, and both Carla were there this year. You can drive down. It's a drivable for some people, and that's no problem. We have a couple spots left on the men and women's side there. Pre-Christmas, December 18 to 22, and then we do San Juan. It's not really a competitor. Same dates as the D3Hoops.com Classic. But
I noticed you were absent last year.
I had to. We ran the show. Lee Frederick is the company president. He's Mr. San Juan. But we had 14 teams there last year, and it's a unique. It's more expensive, of course, but it's certainly unique. And we play in there's some nice pro arenas in San Juan, and stay on the beach and all that good stuff. And that's after Christmas as well.
Habla español bien?
Excuse me again.
I asked you if you speak Spanish well, so I guess that pretty much answered that question.
Un poco.
¿Dónde está la cerveza y dónde está el baño?
Whatever works is the language I speak down there, but that's been great. As far as Puerto Rico and even in Vegas and Daytona, you know this. We can do as well as we can, but you have to have people to be willing to help. And we have them in Puerto Rico, we have them in Vegas, we have them in Daytona, and that makes our business work. We can do all we want from Milwaukee, and it doesn't. We're not there.
Absolutely. So how about during the off season? I know the tours is in the name, so I suspect there's something around that too.
Yeah, that's basically how the company started. I'll say to the Division III fans, Lee Frederick, he still insists to this day that probably the best team he's ever seen was one of Bo Ryan's Platteville teams won on the trip. He would know where they went. I'm blanking on that, but he said it just was a great team. So we take teams on foreign trips. I know Division III teams can go once every 3 years. I know a lot of them go. You can do anything from Canada, close by, to the Bahamas, and we'll do anywhere in Europe and anywhere you want to go. Cuba's open now. If anyone is really interested,
I'm
putting pressure on him. I talked to Coach McGrath from University of Chicago about Cuba, and that type of thing is open. Costa Rica, wherever you want to go, May, August, we'll do it. People will say, where do you go? And I say, where do you want to go?
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll get it done, and it's a good experience. And I know a lot of coaches go, and a lot of coaches don't know we do it. So give us a chance. We'll work with you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, coaches right now would be probably planning for 2016 along those things. They're not D3 schools don't actually have the money just sitting around to throw at this right now. But if you're fundraising and looking for a trip to take your kids on next summer, think about Sport Tours International.
Yeah, please call us, and whatever you want to do. If you have a sister school in Europe somewhere, we will certainly tie that. We can do whatever you want to do, and we appreciate the work it takes for you to fundraise for it. It's not money just lying around like. Ohio State can call us in June to go in August. That's like we get it, and we're sensitive to that, and we're really like our atmosphere is that we like curious groups who are willing to go different places and learn and culture. It's not just basketball, which of course it's a basketball trip, but it's not all about basketball, and that's why the D3 model. You know how it is. It's the trips are great. They have a lot more fun, and they're much more appreciative, and we're appreciative of that too.
Brett, appreciate you you joining us, and appreciate you helping sponsor this get together for the.
I was going to get something more to eat, but Dave. It looks like Dave cleared it out, so I have to wait for the second round next time. But that's okay. Dave has had a big night ahead of him. He's got to fuel up.
I wonder if Dave will ever go back and listen to this show now. And
we'll just tell him not. And I hope Gordon Mann is listening, because I asked about Gordon being here, and he wasn't. And it's a sad day. I miss Gordon.
Well, we'll have Gordon on the show here in a few more minutes. He'll be reporting on live from Grand Rapids. Not live. It's by tape, of course, which took 55 minutes for him to upload and 35 minutes for us to download. But it's almost live.
It'll be worth it. It'll be worth
4
it
hours
for sure.
ago. We'll talk about Division III women's basketball coming up in just a few months. But Brett, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Pat.
It's Brett Seymour of Sport Tours International, the people who operate the D3Hoops.com Classic, and also tours and tournaments in Orlando and in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Am I allowed to mention what you have in your hand, or no? Yeah, okay, you're allowed to have that. That's good. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was, the kind of school where you're not allowed to do that, so that's good. We're going to be joined by Jimmy Smith, the head coach at now Texas Lutheran University, who's just finished his first year. A pretty good start to your career there. We appreciate you. First of all, appreciate you joining us. Appreciate your kind words about the site in the past, and now at your third Division III school in Texas. Give us your perception of Division III in an area which is very D2 and NAIA heavy.
Well, first off, thanks for having this event. It's a cool deal, and obviously nice to meet other Division III coaches from other areas. So thank you guys for putting this on.
Yeah, you bet.
Texas is an interesting state. It varies from year to year. Obviously, a lot of talent. We kind of beat each other up, and I think you see it this year. There's always teams that are good, and like in East Texas Baptist, that can make a run, kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And this year was a unique year in the fact that, in the ASC, UT Dallas and Mary Hardin Baylor have kind of been the predominant schools. They were a little bit down as far as standings were concerned. Trinity and the SCAC has been the dominant force, and this year East Texas Baptist kind of emerged and made a nice run. They went up against the Stevens Point team that's obviously solid, and I'll be very excited to see what they do in the Final Four. But year in, year out, we always have good teams. We got good players. It's just a matter of getting out of Texas and then seeing who you get matched up against.
It is. It's so hard to get out of Texas, just like it's hard to get out of the northwest part of the country,
right.
That sort of thing as well. But obviously, getting off the islands is important. But your team this year, obviously, you had a chance to play in the NCAA tournament and a chance to get your kids a little bit of that atmosphere. How did that? First of all, your kind of take on the state of the program after a year, and what does that tournament experience do for you guys going forward?
It was awesome. Taking over at Texas Lutheran, we finished last in the SCAC last year, so to go from last to first was a cool accomplishment. And I think our guys in their minds, once we won the SCAC tournament, that was kind of the end of it. Like, I don't know if they realized there was more games beyond that, but we got matched up with the Claremont Mudscripts team that was really good.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what Tyler Gaffney's like, for example.
He is a tremendous player. He was kind of off in the first half against us, but in the second half.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that as it developed. It's like, yep.
Yeah. We felt okay at halftime. We were down 6, and then the second half we come out and they run a very good motion, and they start hitting some shots, and then all of a sudden, you look up and you're down 20, and it's against those guys, it's like you're down 40 because they're so controlled. But it was impressive. They had good size and had a good group, and their game against East Texas Baptist was a good one. I think either of those teams deserve to be there, and I think if Claremont matched up against Stevens Point, which they played earlier in the year, it would have been a great game because they're similar in the fact that they run motion and have, good defense. But Gaffney, he was impressive. He handled the ball. He could shoot it. He could put the ball on the floor, get to the basket. He's the guy that I think anybody would want on their team. But for us as a program, I think getting to the NCAA tournament and seeing,
what it's like, right?
Yeah. The level of intensity that picks up, and the things you've got to do to advance. I think is only going to benefit our program. So.
What's the program look like next year? How many seniors do you guys lose and that sort of thing?
We had 5 seniors. So
I'm thinking the conference will be pretty open again next year too, right?
It will be. I mean, obviously, Trinity is going to bounce back. They're going to be good. They had a young team. For us, our 2 leading scorers were sophomores. Our backcourt was sophomores. Our 6th man was a sophomore. It was our 4th leading scorer. So we've got a good nucleus back. We need to get some size inside. We lost our starting 4 and 5, but it's going to be anybody's ball game. I told my wife this year when I noticed Trinity was down, I was like, this is the year to win the league. And we did that, and so we're going to build on that. Our expectations are to try to get back and then advance. We made it this year, so now we want to. Someone in Texas is probably going to host. So our goal next year is let's try to be the team that hosts,
I always try to do the mental gymnastics, so let's see if I can name all the teams in the SCAC. Thankfully, you're not in like the Commonwealth Coast or the Great Northeast or something like that. Those conferences kind of meld together for me. But so let's see.
Right.
You guys, obviously, Trinity, Southwestern, Colorado College, Centenary, University of Dallas. I know that's only 6, and I need 8.
Yep.
Shriner, of course, and then Austin College. Is that everybody?
I think you got everyone.
So it's it's at 8 anyway. It's
8.
Yeah. So I mean that's a conference that's kind of tried to hang together, right? As the league split into 2. You guys in Texas Lutheran came in. Centenary joined. This is their first year eligible as a full Division III program coming from Division I.
Yep.
So, I kind of feel like, the nature of the league might still be in flux a little bit, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's, with us and Shriner coming over from the ASC, and Centenary, I guess, was in the ASC for a year. We're still trying to figure things out. There's talks of us maybe adding some other teams, but it's interesting because we do a pretty good job, I think, with some schools of getting out and trying to play other people. But a lot of it is us playing against the ASC, and so it's. We played ETB early this year. They beat us by 7, and I remember talking to my assistant like, this is a good team. I think these guys have a chance to make a run, and we played Mary Hardin Baylor, we played Concordia, we played UT Dallas, and all those teams were good. It was just kind of who's going to get out of there. So I think for us as a league, we've got to build some credibility. And we didn't do a very good job of doing that this year. We got to the tournament but didn't play well. But I think our league is strong. It's getting a little bit better depth. So now it's just trying to get out and play people. And then when we get a chance in the tournament to play against someone from a different area, performing well. And we haven't done that in the last couple of years.
We're talking with Jimmy Smith, the head coach at Texas Lutheran University. His team advanced to the NCAA tournament this year. Let's see, 18-10 overall. A pickup of 9 wins from the previous year. Your first year as head coach, and you did kind of a similar job turning around Shriner in a very short time. A program that in previous years had I think to the point where I'm looking at it from afar, wondering if the program's going to hang together.
Right.
You went in there and really helped that program find its footing, and now Texas Lutheran has taken a big swing under your tutelage in the first year. What's the secret? Obviously, there is one grand secret, and you must have it now. Tell everybody.
I think what we've been able to do at both places is just build the team concept and get people on the same page and talk about what the goal is. And this year for us as a team, our goal was to win the SCAC championship, and I think. In some ways, I kind of did my guys a disservice because we never talked about anything beyond the SCAC championship. It was like when we won it, I feel like in times our guys thought the season was over. But one thing we really tried to do is last year at Texas Lutheran they had 3 Division III wins. They played some schools that were NCCAA and some different things. So we tried to build a Division III schedule this year. Coming up, we're playing all our games are Division III, and we're going to go to the Northwest and play Puget Sound and Pacific Lutheran, and I think that's big. I think Trinity does a good job of bringing some teams into their classic. This year we played Wheaton and Anderson.
Yep.
And so we're just trying to let our guys see that there is actually other basketball outside of Texas and what that looks like, and that we can compete with those teams. But also you got to respect them, because there's a lot of good teams out there. So for me, it's more about trying to build a good experience for the guys and having them buy into what we're doing. And if you do that, I think good things are going to happen if you can get the right pieces in to fit the system you want to play.
You played and were an assistant coach at Mary Hardin Baylor, and then, of course, a head coach at 2 different stops in Texas, where the Division III brand isn't necessarily so well known. What's it like to go out and recruit those kids? Because I know, for example, on the football area of this sort of thing, a lot of times they're recruiting kids who might otherwise just go to UT Austin and be in a frat and not play football anymore. They don't know what D3 is about.
Right, and I think that's the challenge in Texas as compared to some of these other schools is D3 is not established. We have D2, we have NAI, we have junior college, we have Division III junior college.
Yeah, a lot of junior college.
And so sometimes it's hard to sell a kid on come here, get a good education, and be a part of doing something. And their parents didn't go Division III, and so it's a little bit different. But it's getting better, and obviously the more we can have success and things like that, the better it gets. But recruiting is challenging because, right now I'm in a situation where I've got a lot of kids that are like, well, I've got this JUCO talking to me, or I have this, NAI, or I have this out. A lot of people are coming into Texas now to try to recruit.
Yeah.
I have this, out-of-state Division II or Division III, and you just kind of gotta sell your program and what it's all about, and hope that you can kind of start getting some traction with schools, and I think we're doing that. High school coaches are respecting what we're doing and understand the level of competition we have now. It's just convincing the kids and the parents, that, hey, you're going to come here and you're going to play against good competition, you're going to compete for championships, and you're going to get a good education. And, yeah, you're going to have to pay some money, but you're going to have to pay some money if you go to UT or A&M, like you said, anyway. So, why not come here and do something a little bit different than everybody else?
And it's legitimate, real basketball. You're not coming just to some glorified intramural program.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Appreciate you joining us. I wanted to ask you, what do you get as a head coach out of coming down, or not down, obviously, coming up or out to Salem and chatting and networking with Division III coaches, and then seeing the games at the Final Four also?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, as a coach, you want to see what the teams look like. Obviously all of our aspirations are to try to make it here at some point. And I was unfortunate in the fact that I left Mary Hardin Baylor the year before they made their run, so which is probably why they made it. But
I'm sure that's not true.
But left there, and so you want to see how far away are we, which is always something I like to see. But more importantly, it's getting out and talking to other coaches, and there's a lot of cool events here now where you can meet people. Obviously tonight is a great one. We have our coaches clinic on Saturday where you get to see different things that help you as a coach. And the cool thing that I like about coming to the Division III National Tournament versus the Division I is there's not a lot of egos. There's not a lot of expectations. There's not a lot of, hey, I'm not going to talk to you. You can kind of just go up, introduce yourself to anybody, and talk about whatever you want to, ask them questions. And there's a lot of guys that have won a lot of games here. And so for me, it's just, I would like to be where some of these guys are at now, and so coming here and being able to meet them and talk to them and see how they handle themselves is a cool experience for me. So this is my 3rd year in a row, and I'm not going to Indianapolis this year, and so if I have a choice in any year where I'm going to go, I'm going to come here because I feel like I learn more and I get to meet more people, and I like Division III, and
your program's bottom line is going to be happy about that too.
I agree.
It's a lot less expensive to come here than to go to the Division I.
That is true. So for me, it's just it's more of a learning experience, and it's fun to relax and just meet some different guys that are willing to kind of tell you what they think, and they're not holding anything back.
All right. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having us, and look forward to being back next year.
All right, that's Jimmy Smith, the head coach at Texas Lutheran University, joining us here on Hoopsville. And Thursday night, Hoopsville in the Roanoke Valley here at Roanoke, Virginia. Here at Corn Beef and Company, we want to thank the folks here for hosting us for this show for the second year in a row. Thanks to the folks at the National Association of Basketball Coaches for their support of Hoopsville throughout the course of the 2014-15 season. Thanks to the City of Salem, host of the 2015 Division III Men's Basketball National Championships. And, of course, thanks to D3Hoops.com and viewers, or in this case tonight, listeners like you. We appreciate you joining us on a special audio version of Hoopsville. Because logistics, let's be honest. It's easier to put an audio show on. Dave, for the first, I think, 10 to 12 years of this show, did it as an audio-only show, and we're kind of going back to our roots. It's old school. It's Throwback Thursday here on Hoopsville. So thanks for joining us. I'm standing in for Dave McHugh, who has got a role tonight at the Men's Basketball Championships banquet. He will be interviewing and talking with coaches and players tonight on the podium. They're having this banquet tonight on the playing floor. I'm pretty sure they put some kind of tarp down. I think we're all right there. But a great show that they're putting on here in Salem, and we're trying to put on a good show here ourselves. We just talked with Jimmy Smith, the head coach of Texas Lutheran University. We have a couple of coaches here in the audience who have played teams who are here in the Final Four, and we will try to get a couple of them here in the course of the next few minutes. In fact, Jason Zimmerman, the head coach at Emory University, his team played both Virginia Wesleyan and Wisconsin Stevens Point. So we will talk with him about those teams, maybe give us a little bit about how they break down, what we might expect from them, other than obviously I think we expect them to play defense, because everybody here at this Final Four very focused around the defensive side of the ball. Virginia Wesleyan gives up 65 points a game, and that's the most. There's Babson allows under 60, and of course Wisconsin Stevens Point, we know that they allowed just 28 points in the round of 8 game against East Texas Baptist. Just a crazy defensive performance that they had there. So a good weekend if you like defensive-minded basketball. So we will talk a little bit about that. I'm sorry? Is he going to start swearing? Well, It's Mike McGrath is warning us about Jason Zimmerman. In all honesty, I mean, it's not on the radio. The FCC doesn't actually have a role here. So we're going to invite Jason to put the headset on. The head coach of Emory University, whose team advanced to the round of 16 before getting knocked out. I guess Wisconsin Stevens Point kind of got its revenge on you. You knocked them out in the round of 16 last year, and they turned it around this year on you guys a bit.
Yeah, it was great place to play, great atmosphere, and Bob does a great job with his team. Well, the program is phenomenal, right? Stevens Point program, the tradition, and to go back there. I think I said in our press conference after the game, if anybody wants to make a deal and say, hey, we'll go there every year for the Sweet 16, I'm in. Like, if you can be there every year, I'm in. Like,
well, I mean, you're 500 against them in the Sweet 16.
Yeah,
that's
right.
pretty good.
No, that's exactly right. And last year's team, when we won up there, I mean, they had an unbelievable team, 29-1, and unbelievable. And we played really, really well, and they didn't play as well as they had throughout the year. And then this year, they were playing really well coming into the game. We knew that, and they played great on Friday night. They were really, really good, and we didn't play our best, partly because of what they did, and then probably because we just didn't play well. And that's all it takes in college basketball, right? One game, and we see it today watching all the games.
Yeah, we do.
It just takes one game. It's not a 7-game series. It's a one game. You got to bring it, and they did, and we weren't quite there. But we had a great year, and 3 years in a row in the NCAA tournament, Elite 8 last year, Sweet 16 this year, and we're really proud of my guys.
I will let you talk about your team, absolutely, because you guys did, as you say, have a great season, and you have the consensus regional player of the year, right, in Alex Foster, and we want to talk about that. But I also want to talk about the fact that you guys played 2 of the teams who are still here, right? I mean, for example, Virginia Wesleyan, who came into the week, they'd only lost 5 games. 3 of them were to conference rival Randolph-Macon. 1 of them was to you. You got them down at your place back at the beginning of January. What did you see about Virginia Wesleyan that you can tell us?
Yeah, Dave we've played Virginia Wesleyan the last 3 years. Dave and I, we've talked about it 3 years ago, and thought it was a great game. And
good.
Are you going to? Yeah, next year we go back to their place. Good. We haven't set a date yet, but we got to get back up there. So,
okay.
But yeah, great game for us. I think we won in overtime the first year, 3 years ago. They beat us on a last-second shot last year, and then we beat them this year at our place. And it's been a great series for us. He does a great job with his team. They're very, very talented, and the kid, I think, and it's been a long time since we played him, so I remember numbers instead of names. But the kid Moore can really score, and of course their senior Montgomery is phenomenal.
Yeah,
is phenomenal, and they have great. They know what it takes to win. They've been there, and we played them. We played really well that game, and they had to make the trip down. It was a tough game for them, obviously, but we were really excited to win that game, and then and excited to keep that series going, because I think it's a great game for our guys. It's two really good programs, two really good teams playing.
I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, from a strength of schedule standpoint, you guys don't really need the boost, right? I mean, the UAA is going to be a strength of schedule magnet, but from the other side, if you want to compete with WashU and years it's University of Chicago or NYU or University of Rochester, whoever is the other qualifier or quality team in that conference, you got to be able to know what a national team looks like.
Right, and I guess 5 years ago we went 20-5, 11-3 in our league, and
right.
we didn't get into the tournament.
Yeah.
Right? And our strength schedule wasn't as high, and since then we've said hey, anybody, anywhere, we just want to play great games. Yeah. And if we make the tournament, great. That's what we want to do. That's our goal. We want to make the NCAA tournament and challenge for a national championship if we can. But we want to play great games, and it's a great game for us. We played Guilford this year. We played Bates this year. Yep. So those games.
That's right, you played Bates. I forgot about that.
Throughout the regular season, those games are great games for our fans, for our program, and so we've kind of changed in that. Try to play games like that. It's a hike. It's a hike for them to come down to play us and for us to come up there. But and we travel a lot during the UAA, so we try not to travel during the non-conference. But when you can play games like that, it's just I think it just prepares you for your league. And that's just what we've done the last couple of years. It's been good for us. We've had really good players, and we've been successful. But it's been really good for us.
Did I hear you were going to the Hoopsville Classic?
We are, and it's not in stone yet. We haven't
signed the contract.
We talked about it yesterday, and
well, now it's
there's a reason. Like for our program, it's great to do things like that, and we could play, we could play other games, and we can. But I just think it's neat to go out and play in the Hoopsville Classic, or those things. It's an experience for our guys. It really is.
The Wisconsin Stevens Point, obviously, you talked about their atmosphere. That's the word I was looking for. And it's a team, last year centered around, some bigger star players kind of guys. This year, seemingly very balanced, and they kind of snuck up on us. We felt that if you look at Dave and I were talking about this earlier in the show. If you look at a balanced team on paper, it's really hard to figure out what to make of that team, right? And Wisconsin Stevens Point, I think they were number 7 in our preseason poll, but everybody thought, they're really going to be down this year. They're not going to be able to hold a candle to Wisconsin Whitewater. But here they are. They're here. Sure. Whitewater's not. What did you see out of them last week?
Well, you lose Tillema, right, who had 30 points against us and could score anytime, anywhere. Just go get it. And then you lose Hewer, the big kid inside, and the shooter, number 23, Haas, I think was the name of it. Phenomenal, right? So we lose those 3 guys. And Bob and I were talking about, and he even mentioned, hey, we have great role players that are now playing. They don't have great role players. They have great players. Yeah. The guys that are playing for them right now are phenomenal basketball players. And they're very interchangeable, very versatile guys. And, they play slower, a little bit slower offensively, a little bit, but when they attack in transition, and all of them can play offensively. They don't have to play slow. They can play fast offensively. They just choose to, and defensively they just grind you out, and they can guard all 5 positions, which, the point guard can guard the 5-man, the 5-man can guard your point guard. And when you can happen like that, that's and when they're locked in, that's really, really difficult to create space then to score against them. And they were phenomenal against us defensively. I thought they guarded us as well as anybody has in a long time. and then offensively they play really well against us too. So it's a bad combination when you're the other coach. But I think the role players, when you call them role players, it's almost a shot at them because, I mean, you put those guys on any team in the country, and they're going to play because they're tough, they're versatile, they know how to play, they play the right way. And they had an edge to them on Friday night that was really special.
We're talking with Jason Zimmerman, head coach at Emory University out of Atlanta, Georgia. I know this because my daughter and I, my daughter's 17, we've been looking at colleges, and I have to say this, maybe not within earshot of Mike McGrath. Good. The University of Chicago is the template, right? So that's something. We went there for a women's basketball sectional and a UAA weekend on a couple of separate weekends in 2012. And she was only in 8th grade then, but she was really taken by the whole concept. So we're looking at schools like that across the country. Emory falls into that category.
Well, I know this.
We'll get down there to look at it.
This is nothing against Chicago, Coach McGrath, nothing against that. But I left Atlanta today in shorts, and if there is any snow, we wait till it melts. We don't shovel it. So that's it's a great spot. It's really a special place.
It was 60 degrees in Minneapolis when I left the other day. It's 20 degrees colder here. I don't quite know. It's almost always the other way around. But you're in a school, obviously, which is there's a group of them. Obviously, the University Athletic Association, a lot of similar schools, but not particularly looking like the rest of Division III. The rest of Division III in general. You guys kind of have to yourselves and also schools like Tufts and MIT, right? They have a different cachet. What's it like attracting a kid to come to Emory?
Yeah, it's really nice to be able to, and you say sell, but be able to promote an institution that you believe in, an institution that has those, where if the student athlete comes there, he's going to have a great experience. He or she is going to have a great experience. When you say that when you're recruiting, you don't talk to many Emory alums who say, "Oh, I just didn't like it," right? And no matter what it is, and I think if you go around the UAA, you would feel that as well. As far as basketball goes, our league, you look at our league. Everybody says, "Hey, league's really tough," and I totally agree with that. Every league in the country is really hard because everybody knows everybody, right?
You have all that tape on your
absolutely, and coaches in our leagues, especially, they've been there for 20 years, so they know what it takes to win. They know what it takes to prepare. You look at our league, and this year, Brandeis goes. It beats Amherst, beats Tufts, comes down the league and gets into some injury problems, and you go Carnegie wins. Brandeis beats Chicago twice. It's just unbelievable how prepared you have to be on the road in our league to play, and it's a special league. It really is. It's challenging. It's great to recruit too, right? It's great to use that recruiting. We get to travel to all these places, and it's brutal to actually go through that league, right? So as a coach, you say, man, I got to go to Chicago, I got to go to St. Louis, got to go to Cleveland, got to go to Pittsburgh, and got to play these games. Our guys love it, but then they got to get ready to play that team, and what a challenge, and it's been great. This is my 8th year at Emory, and it's been a great 8 years, and it's been the coaches in our league, the players in our league, just that experience and that competition has just been, you say Division III athletics, forget about Division III, Division I, it's the right way, right? It's playing the right way. It's doing things the right way. Student athletes, forget about Division I. There's Division I schools that do it the right way, and there's Division I schools that don't do it the right way.
I think Harvard's playing right now.
That's exactly right. There's Division
and they're playing somebody else.
That's right. And there's Division III schools that do it the right way. There's Division III schools that probably don't do it the right way. It's just that's how it is. Sometimes I think we get into that, hey, Division III, they're student athletes. Well, yeah, that's great, but there's Division I schools that do that as well.
I think even I would be willing to concede that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't have to apologize at the UA schools or school. We don't have to apologize for trying to be great in the classroom, on the basketball court, on the soccer field, on the baseball field, and that's the right way. And that's the right way to do things. Hey, when we're going to do something, if we're going to participate in something, we're going to try to be the best we can be. And, if that's going to the Final Four, great. If that's winning your league, great. If that's winning 10 games, if that's the best this team can do.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And our guys, and I can speak for our team, our guys compete their tails off. Like we don't ever walk into a basketball practice and say, hey, guys, we're Division III. We're going to take it easy today. Right. Hey, look, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to compete our tails off. And we're going to go try to win this game. And then afterwards, we're going to see what we did right, what we did wrong, and continue to do that. And it's been really fun to be in our league and I use fun as not a ha-ha kind of fun, as a fun as like challenging, working to do something and trying to accomplish something fun. And I think that's a difference, but it's been great. And to be able to see, it's really hard tomorrow. It's going to be really hard because I want to see Stevens Point play Virginia Wesleyan and our team can compete at that level. And we, you don't play well one night, and you get beat and you don't get to compete. I'd really like to have my team here, put it that way.
Yeah, that is the beauty and the beast of the tournament, so to speak. We're talking with Emory coach Jason Zimmerman. Obviously, men's basketball has been great at Emory for a few years. I wanted to ask each of the coaches, tell us a little bit about what else is going well. What are give us like one other good story from Emory University Athletics.
Yeah, sure. I just think Emory Athletics as a whole, I think our swim teams today, matter of fact, are swimming in the national championship. So I haven't seen the scores today. I know our women's swim team was winning yesterday. I think our men's were in second.
And are they the defending champs?
The women are defending, I think they're 4 or 5-time national champs in a row here. Our men were in second, I think, yesterday. Our baseball team is playing great right now. I think they won the UAA co-champs. Our softball team were co-champs. Our tennis teams are doing great. So we are looking for a new athletic director. So that's interesting for Emory Athletics.
Get my resume going here.
Get it ready. Yeah, get it ready. So we're looking for a new athletic director. And Tim Downs, athletic director, has done a great job. And he's been there 8 years, same as I have. And been a great mentor for me. And but Emory Athletics is it's really fun to be a part of a group who strives for excellence on every level, and the same thing with our university, and I think there's a lot of universities like that. I'm just glad and blessed to be part of one of them.
Jason, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and we appreciate you breaking down. We're going to ask you back during the Between the Games show tomorrow to break down Stevens Point and Virginia Wesleyan a little bit more.
I have to break them down. I think Between the Games show, I went to Davidson. I played for Coach McHugh. I think they're going to be playing about the same time, so I'm going to have to be watching the game on my phone and breaking down the other game. I can do that, but I got to have to watch the Wildcats tomorrow for sure.
All right, fair enough. Jason, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it.
Jason Zimmerman, the head men's basketball coach at Emory University. His team advanced to the round of 16 this season. Got knocked out last week, and is giving us the lowdown on Wisconsin Stevens Point and Virginia Wesleyan College, who each of them played versus Emory earlier this season. We are going to check in now with Gordon Mann, our colleague at the Women's Basketball Championship Weekend. We can call it the Final Four on this show, right? They are in Grand Rapids, Michigan this week, so we will check in with him. He sent us some tape from earlier, so we'll check in with that. And then we'll be back out here after that with more Division III basketball coverage from Hoopsville, here sponsored by the National Association of Basketball Coaches and the City of Salem, and also D3Hoops.com. And thanks to viewers or today listeners like you. Dave McHugh stepped out. He's hosting or emceeing, not I guess emceeing, he's hosting a roundtable discussion at the Division III Men's Basketball Championship banquet. So I'm Pat Coleman. I'm stepping in, but we will send it over to Gordon Mann from Grand Rapids.
Hi, and welcome to Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're here about 10 miles or so from Calvin College in downtown Grand Rapids, where we're getting ready for tomorrow's Final Four games between Montclair State and George Fox, and then Tufts and Thomas More College. And I'm joined by Coach Jeff Hands and Sidney Wainscott of the Saints. Guys, first off, congratulations on making the trip.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, last week when I was at the Connor Convocation Center, fantastic atmosphere, packed, loud, and I asked you before we got on how much of that crowd makes the trip, because you're almost the home team. You're 6 hours away, but that's probably 10 hours closer than anybody else.
I think we're going to get a pretty good crowd. The players, a lot of our students. I know we have a bus coming up with students Friday, so that'll be good. And then just a lot of the people who are there from the community have just really followed this team and gotten on the bus basically with them. And it's really happened over the last couple of years. And getting this final step and getting here to the Final Four has just pushed them over the edge. And it's fun to watch and fun to be a part of. And we're just thankful that this group can make that happen for them.
Sydney, you said you have a number of people who have come and kind of followed you here, family members.
Yeah, just to talk around the community and stuff. A bunch of people are supposed to be coming up. I personally have at least like 25 people just from my family. I know the girls, everyone on the team is talking about, grandma, grandpa, aunt, and uncle is showing up. So it should be a good crowd.
We'll get to the basketball in a second, but I understand you guys get to do some other things while you're here. You have the banquet, which hasn't happened yet. That will be tonight. And you have a service project, which I would guess was probably something with the Special Olympics. How did that go probably this morning?
Yeah, the Special Olympics thing this morning was really good. Our players, we do some things with Special Olympians at Thomas More with bowling in the fall. We bring a couple teams in and do some basketball stuff. We weren't able to this year with the schedule, but the last couple years we have, and then also do flag football. So our kids they did a great job with those guys this morning, interacting with them, coaching them during their little scrimmage at the end, high-fiving them. I think even one of them, I think Alexa, she got Sid almost got teed up. She was arguing a no-foul call. I don't know where she gets that from by any means, okay? But, I think even Alexa Santa Maria made a boyfriend today, so her boyfriend at home might be worried, start getting a little jealous. But that's the best part about it. To be able to reach out into the community and have an impact. As their coach was like, we've been watching you, a lot of teams, and you guys especially, and hoping that you would get here and have the chance to interact. And it's good for our players, to do that in that type of setting, in that gym where it's just us and the Special Olympians. And, we're very happy that we were able to do that. And last night, I thought the improv that Calvin College had for us was very good. The comedy, walking around the Gerald Ford Museum and having that opportunity to do that with those guys, concluding the night with their comedy. And bringing up some volunteers, and Kirsten Paul, for us being able to go up there, she was a perfect fit from our team to go up there and do what she did. So, yeah, she didn't volunteer. She was, she was volunteered, and we didn't really have to force her though, so that was a good thing.
So let's turn to the basketball games. Just before you came down, you were watching tape, and some of these questions I asked you before during the Calvin press conference. But this is very much a contrast in styles. Tufts holds opponents in the low 40s. Last weekend they held their first opponent to 32 points. You guys, with the exception of Knox and North Central, who run that kind of shoot really quickly system, you're the highest scoring team in the country out of 450 schools. How do you make sure that the game is played at the tempo you want tomorrow?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's about what we're going to do, playing our game. We are a fast-paced team, and we like to score, and we like to get rebounds and push the ball, but we've seen basically everything this year, so I don't think we'll have too much of a problem. They're a great team. They're very physical, and it's going to be a great battle, but overall I think that we've seen that style of play before, so I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, and it starts with the defense. It's a lot easier for us to get out in transition when we can get stops. That's a big part about it. That's last weekend against St. Thomas, they shot almost 40% the first half, and it was like 29-30 the second half. So we were able to get stops and get out and go. And Abby Owings putting the pressure on their point guard the entire second half, because we were able to make shots on our end to set up our press and be able to get into creating some of that chaos for them. And so that it starts with the defensive side of it, and then just keeping the ball moving and making them guard the width of the floor for as long as it takes, and for us to attack, because we've got to figure out a way to get good shots, to get some, not necessarily easy looks, but some good looks. And that's what they've been able to do, because they're patient on offense, but they'll look to run when they can. But then on defense, they make you use the clock, because they don't take chances, they don't gamble. So that's taking 30 seconds, 25 to 30 seconds every time as well. And so we just have to keep attacking and have our attack mentality the entire game.
Do you, as a coach, or maybe as a player, but I would guess this is more of a coach thing, you have this thing in your mind, we have to be at 20 points at minute X, or if this is 20 to 18 at the half, and you go in and you're up 20, are you comfortable with that?
If we're ahead, yeah, we're comfortable. Okay. If we're behind, we're comfortable. Because Cabrini down in Puerto Rico, it was 56, 55, 57, 56, something like that. Cumberland's, who in the high school we played right before Christmas, was 62, 57, something like that. So I mean, we've been able to show that we can grind it out. I don't know if years past we've been able to do that, but I think with our presence inside and our guards on the perimeter, we're able to grind a little bit more and execute. And that's what it is this time. I mean, it's two good teams going to battle. It's a matter of who's going to make enough plays, who's going to part of the style, whose style is going to win out at the end of the day, but also who can execute, who can run their stuff the best and get good shots.
Sydney, you're a senior on this team, and last week in the press conference, I had asked a couple of people, I asked Nikki Kiernan what she felt before the 1 versus 2 game, and I really liked her answer. I thought it was very honest. She said, I was nervous. Mm-hmm. I get the sense that Abby Owings could be an excitable person on the sideline. I think you may have mentioned that she gets excited. When you get out there tomorrow, Final Four, neutral court, all the reason for emotion and excitement is going to be there. How do you guys tamp that down to make sure you stay within yourselves, to bust out the sports cliche?
Yeah, we have a lot of young players, so that's kind of key, keeping them kind of focused on the big picture and what we're here for. But overall, I mean, it's just another game, just like Coach always tells us. There's nothing different. Obviously, higher stakes, but you go out there and play your same game, same rituals before the game, and everything like that. And I think everything falls into place after those things start to happen. You start to get in that ritual of what you do every single time. So, but me personally, I think I'm kind of that person that's like, just because I'm experienced and I've almost been here last year with that experience, just the kind of one that tries to hold us together. Like, Abby, like, she'll come up to me, hey, I'm nervous, I'm so nervous. I'm like, you're fine, just like every other game. And then Nikki's the same way. I'll hear them over in the locker room talking about how nervous they are and stuff, and I'm like, it's fine, it's just the same, just another game. So I think that's how we kind of just go with it.
Oh, you're all right. That's all right. It's all natural. That's fine. No, that's all right. That's why we have that editability. No, that's fine. See, almost live television here, folks. Coach, I asked you last week, you beat the number 2 team in the country by 20 points, so there wasn't a whole lot to be down about. But I said, what's the one thing you want to do differently when you play a similarly styled Tufts team? You said we got to start faster. Knowing that I've seen nerves derail a lot of teams, not for the whole weekend, but for the first 15, 20 minutes of a Final Four game. How do you kind of prepare yourself for that? How do you buffer against that?
I don't know, because it's back to the last question that you just asked Sid here with our point guard and Abby, and one that really gets us going defensively with her pressure. It's just a matter of trying to keep them calm and understanding that everything that we've done all year long is made to help us in this situation. But they're going to be excited. They're 18 to 22-year-old young ladies, and they're playing in the Final Four for the first time. It's what they've worked for. It's what they've dreamed about. So we're going to be excited. It's a matter of can Sid Wainscott, can Sid Moss, can Steph Krusling, our experienced players, our juniors and seniors, keep their composure and be a positive role model for those new players, those new guys that haven't been here, haven't been in this setting, and the other part of it is hopefully they're excited and we have 300 or 400 or 500 people here, on our side of it, instead of like last year we had 13 out of Whitman in that gym. So it pretty much was, and so if we can get through that first 4 minutes, that's going to be the telltale sign to me is, what happens in that first 4 minutes, that first media timeout. Where are we at? Can we settle? Can we be relaxed? And, and this group is very businesslike. We don't get too excited and we don't get too down. I think that's been a good thing, for us all year long.
Last question, one for each of you. Sydney, for you, I get the sense, and it isn't the case at all Division III programs, but Thomas More strikes me as very much a school of the community. You saw a lot of people from the community come out. It depends on where you are. Obviously, if you're in the middle of New York City, that's a different community. If you're in Chicago, it's a different community. But we see that with the folks in Holland around Hope, or you see that in Williamstown with the folks around Williams. What does it mean to represent the school in the community here this weekend for you?
They are so supportive, and they send emails, they send flowers to us, cards, and it's an amazing community to be a part of, and to be able to come up here and represent them and represent Thomas More and your family, your friends, your professors, and it's just, there's no other feeling. It's what it's all about, is playing for the people who care about you and who have supported you through the whole entire journey. So I hope they can make it up here tomorrow. It makes it that much better.
Right.
Yeah.
And Coach, for you, we've got Terry O'Connor sitting just off camera here, but this is an exciting time, I think, for Thomas More athletics. You had the soccer team advance into the tournament. You had your women's lacrosse team play their first game when I was there on Saturday. As a member of the athletic department, who will kind of look at this from a longer term perspective, what does reaching the Final Four mean in terms of building and sustaining a program, both in terms of women's basketball and athletically?
I think it's big for the college. You're right. It was our first ever women's lacrosse game on Saturday, so that's going on. And then we're able to finish off the night with a win in the sectional finals. And, in advance to this, we've been playing basketball at Thomas More for, I don't even know what it was, probably 40 plus years. And this is the first Final Four for women's basketball or anybody else in the school, any other sport. So, it's big for everybody. It's big for Terry and all that he's been through with his dad being there. His name's on the building, on the gym. It's named after his dad, and the family, the Connor family, being there Saturday night, and hopefully some of them being able to make the trip up here to just share that moment with them. And again, like Sid was saying, representing Thomas More, Northern Kentucky community, everybody. It's a great feeling for us to have that honor and privilege to be able to do that.
Such a small school that, everyone's like, oh, little old Thomas More, but we love it. So
it'll be little Thomas More against slightly larger, at least in terms of student enrollment, Tufts tomorrow in the Final Four. With more from Grand Rapids, for Hoopsville, this is Gordon Mann.
There we go. Welcome back to Hoopsville here at Corned Beef and Company in Roanoke, Virginia, here in advance of Division III men's basketball national semifinals, which will take place tomorrow evening. We'll have pregame coverage for you starting at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time as Augustana takes on Babson, and then we will have live video coverage between games as well. We'll get you wrapped up that first game and get you ready for that second game between Virginia Wesleyan, University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, and then Dave and I will have post-game coverage of that as well all throughout the weekend here in Salem in the Roanoke Valley. I'm Pat Coleman here. Dave McHugh, of course, your usual host of Hoopsville, has a bigger gig tonight. We'll excuse him. He's he's chairing a round table at the Division III Men's Basketball Championship banquet, so he has let me run Hoopsville in his absence, and we'll try not to run it into the ground, but at least since he left, the technical problems have disappeared, so which is good because we can't fix the technical problems probably without him. Hoopsville used to be a radio-only show, and it is tonight because of logistics. But we're glad you joined us. Thanks for tuning in. I'm joined by John Alisi, now the head coach at Baruch. The City University of New York, Bernard M. Baruch College.
Very good.
Did I get all of that correct?
Got it all right. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us out of the CUNYAC, and you guys made the NCAA tournament this year. Congratulations. A good season for you guys. Tell us a little bit about the state of Bearcat basketball.
Yeah, we're doing a good job. My third year coming in as a head coach, I took over for my college coach, actually, Ray Rankus, who had been there for 29 years. But we've had 3 successful seasons, 2 postseason appearances, 1 ECAC Metro my first year. dealt with a lot of injuries my second year to a lot of key guys, and kind of got everything going together this year. Stayed healthy. We culmination of a young class turning into a senior and older class, and really paid off. We had to get through a lot of good teams. I thought the league was really strong this year, very strong.
And I thought too that the stature of the league was elevated by the run that York made in the tournament last year, right? I'm getting that right?
Yeah, York,
I mean, they won a game, did they win 2 games?
They beat Rhode Island College pretty good on the road.
Right.
And then they gave Amherst a handful.
That's right, it was, yeah.
In the second round.
Yeah.
So, or I guess it was the first round, the second, after the play-in game.
I don't consider that a play-in game. That's a real game.
Amherst gets the bye, so yeah, we get to the second round.
second
Amherst gets the bye, you're right.
It's not like the games going on the TVs around us a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I don't understand
This is a legitimate
first round game. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, the league's been good. It's been more of a top-heavy league the last, pretty much throughout its history. We're trying to find a way to get a little bit more parity and get the strength of schedule numbers up. But, certainly with what York did last year, shows what our league is capable of.
Yeah.
I do feel that, that it was a big debate, Staten Island, last year as well. And, look, understandable, with the way you look at it, being in the league, they should have been in the tournament. And, prior to that, they played real well the year before on the road at Catholic. The year before that, they were in the Sweet 16. So, we've had good teams in the past. Hunter's made an Elite 8 run in the last 20 years. And
I sadly remember that well. That's my alma mater. They beat in the round of 16 there, by the way.
Yeah. I think that was before Hoopsville started.
Oh, my gosh. But we have audio clips of George Brown's three-pointer at the buzzer to send it into the second overtime, I think. I could still sadly recite that clip by memory.
Sadly, I was in high school, I think, when that happened. But it was, again, we do look at that, that we see that banner every year. We go into Hunter, and we're just trying to establish some more consistency in the league. But I think our top teams are very good, and hopefully we can create more of a name for ourselves and get ourselves a little more consistency in the tournament each year.
We're here on Hoopsville. You can interact with us on Twitter at #Hoopsville or @D3 Hoopsville. Also at D3 Hoops, and also on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. I think that's right. Dave has all that stuff memorized, and it's usually on the screen just for me to read off, but maybe not the case. Talking with John Alisi, the head coach at Baruch. So I have been in just one CUNYAC gym, and I was at Medgar Evers a couple years ago. Tell us, a little bit more about what's it like with all these schools, obviously in a fairly small geographic area, but with a ton of people, right? Millions and millions of people in the New York City metropolitan area. What's it like for Division III basketball, and you're part of D3?
It's different. The biggest thing with our league is we're all under the same umbrella. Yeah. It's one university with a lot of different campuses. So, at Baruch, we're at the top of the conference academically. When we're out recruiting, we find ourselves recruiting student athletes that would be considering NESCACs and NYU and some of the higher level private schools, and but the colleges are all different. I think each college has its own niche and its own kind of flavor to it. So it's a little different. A coach from a competing league a few years ago said something that I thought was really interesting. He said, coaching in the CUNY is unlike coaching anywhere else in the country, because you're just facing such different things every night. You're not playing the same type of teams every night. You got to face pressure. You got to face zones. You have to face teams that shoot within 8 or 9 seconds. You got to face teams that can shoot the ball and run motion. You got to face teams that run sets. So it's
a workout for the coaching staff.
You really do. You got to prepare a lot, and most of our coaches
may not be full time.
They're
right?
not. Yeah, most of them are part time,
and certainly don't have full time assistants. I mean, I think there are a lot of people here who have full-time assistants, or people who are at least on campus full-time, if not full-time men's basketball.
Exactly. So those are the challenges that we deal with. But as a league, I think we do a good job of coming together and trying to figure out ways to strengthen the league. And I'm looking forward to our off-season coaches meeting in a few weeks. And how do we get the league better? How do we strengthen our profile? How do we raise our profile and get ourselves in a conversation where a team like Staten Island last year doesn't get left on the board.
Yeah, exactly.
When they're ranked 21st in the country with a 25-game winning streak, and a team like Brooklyn this year, who I believe was on the board right till the very end.
I think so.
How do they get into? How do we push those teams into the conference and get a second team in? We've been fortunate at Baruch that we've had 2 at-large teams selected in the last 10 years. So, we have an idea of what it takes, but I think we all need to really work together to make sure that we do it on a consistent basis.
Well, I know you went to, I got your schedule in front of me, so I'm cheating, obviously, but you went to Randolph-Macon's tournament over the holidays. That's obviously a place where you can pick up some good opponents, and you played Salisbury, who ended up making the NCAA tournament, and a bit of a surprise. They made a run at the end of the year, and of course, played the host Randolph-Macon. So, that's something that you guys did, but it takes, 8 or 9 of the 9 coaches across the league to go and do that as well.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you've got to be smart in the way you schedule out of conference.
Yeah,
I think you got to look at, for your lower level teams, you got to be honest with yourself.
Sure.
You have to figure out, all right, what games can we win?
Right. There's no point in going and playing Amherst or Williams
exactly.
or Babson or something.
Look, there's a value to those games, but ultimately at the end of the day, are you propelling the top teams into the conference, into the national picture?
Yeah.
And I do believe that our top teams have the ability to compete at the highest level of Division III. I mean, I think we've proven that. I think we've won some big games over the years. Obviously not with the consistency we would like.
Yeah.
But we have to give ourselves more opportunities in the tournament to do that. I think, we've got to figure out as coaches, how do we push those teams that may falter in the conference championship? Because like you said, Staten Island gets penalized for losing to York last year, and then York goes out and they win a game, and not surprising to anybody in our league, but surprising I think to the national audience at the Division III level. But certainly I think when we look at our scheduling, we were 21-7 this year. All 7 of our losses were to teams that played in the postseason.
Okay.
Whether it be the NCAA tournament or the ECAC in our region.
Yeah.
Not only, obviously Randolph-Macon is the signature game there, and Salisbury wins the Capital.
Yeah, but you played Wesleyan also.
Wesleyan on the road wins the NESCAC, which is, we know how hard that league is to win.
Yep. And Stevens has traditionally been pretty good at men's basketball.
Stevens has been very strong, and Centenary, which looks like a bad loss. Centenary was a solid team this year.
Yeah.
Young team, and Tim Fusina is doing a nice job with that group. And we looked at that and we said, it was the second game of the year, and they were 0-3 at the time, but their losses were to Scranton, John Carroll, and then a disappointing one to Moravian. But we knew that was a tough game for us, and a road game.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't look at that as an awful loss, but ultimately, you got to win games like that on the road to get into the postseason.
Is it tough to get teams to come into New York City and play your gym?
It's not. I think there's a draw to New York. I think teams do want to come in. I think it helps with there's such a large pool of kids in the area.
Yeah.
We can get teams to come in to us, but we have been successful. So maybe we're not getting all the teams that we're looking for. So we end up having to go to Randolph-Macon more often. 2 years ago, last year we went to Hampton-Sydney for our tournament. This year we went to Randolph-Macon. We're probably going to go to Virginia Wesleyan next year. So we're just going to try to get through that.
Through the whole ODAC, right?
Why not? But you look at it, you look at the success. I think if you want to be successful, you have to look at teams that have been successful. And I think going and seeing Hampton-Sydney and seeing Lynchburg and Randolph-Macon and Middlebury and Franklin and Marshall and Stevens and all the teams that we play on a yearly basis, we want to make sure that if we have a good season and we don't win our league, we want to be at least in the conversation. And we've done it twice in the last 10 years. We just want to make sure consistently that Baruch is being recognized and that CUNY basketball is being recognized for the way we think it should be. I think it's a very good league, and it's a little it's often overlooked, but we have to work as coaches to change that perception. It's not going to happen without work.
We're talking with John Alisi, head coach at Baruch here on Hoopsville. You can interact with us on Twitter, #Hoopsville or at D3Hoopsville, although I should be following the Hoopsville hashtag if I really want to promote that. So I will keep an eye on that as well. And of course, at D3 Hoops or hashtag D3H. And Hoopsville, sponsored by the National Association of Basketball Coaches and also by the City of Salem, along with D3Hoops.com and viewers, although in tonight's case, listeners like you, which is good because I have a face made for radio and so does Dave, and that's just fine. Nobody needs to look at our mugs tonight. Talking with John Alisi, the head coach of Baruch, whose team won the CUNYAC. Did you guys, is it a conference where you win the regular season to win the title, or you win the conference tournament to win the title?
We won both, fortunately, this year.
Well, there you go. So don't have to worry about it.
We won we went 14-2 in the regular season. Fortunate to win our postseason tournament. Beat a very good Brooklyn team, who, in my opinion, I thought had a legitimate case to be selected for the NCAA tournament.
They compared pretty well. They were. I thought they were in the conversation. They would have been in the conversation for a long time. Deservedly so in the conversation.
Everything I've heard is that they were there for a while, and they, going into that championship game, we were the 1 seed and they were the 2, but I don't know that we were the favorite there. Yeah. Brooklyn was really talented, and Rich McAuliffe in his first season at Brooklyn did an unbelievable job. Right. Did an unbelievable job with that group. And I was really proud of our kids. Our kids, we knew we had to neutralize their talent a bit. We really controlled tempo in the first half. They want to get the game in the 80s and 90s, and we want to keep it in the 50s and 60s if we can. We had the halftime at 26-24 that we were down.
Oh, wow. Because I'm looking at the final score.
Well, I went to double overtime.
Oh, see, I need to get that so that's fixed. I remember that. That's right.
So it did go. It went
an extra 10 minutes. That's fair. All right.
But we they made their runs. We never, our kids, to their credit, never panicked. And we were down 7 with about 2:20 left in the game. And our senior, Granville Gittins, who's playing in the All-Star game on Saturday, makes a big 3 that if he doesn't make, we probably lose going away. He makes a 3, gets it down to 4. Brooklyn missed a couple of free throws. We got made some big plays, and Granville makes a shot at the buzzer to send us to overtime,
right.
which happened to be his second big shot in 3 days.
Yeah.
He had made a game winner with 2 seconds left against York 2 days earlier. So just the resolve of our kids, and I think it was really a result of what had gone into it the last 3 years. Most of our, we started as a fairly young team my first year with a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and this was really the end result. Last year I thought we had a chance to be pretty good, and we just never had our full team.
Yeah.
I thought we had good guards, good bigs, guys that could shoot the ball, and we just had tons of injuries last year. This year we stayed relatively healthy. We did lose our starting point guard again for the whole season, right in the second game of the year, and it was just a mentally strong group that just kept doing whatever needed to be done. And whenever championship was a great example. We had every opportunity to just say, hey, they beat us, and they just wouldn't quit. And it was real. I was really, really proud of them, and it was a classic game. And our conference does a great job with their championships.
First of all, that game is on ESPN3, for example. What's that? What's that like for the kids?
It's amazing. We're the only Division III league doing that.
Yeah,
and
I hope more do it because it seems eminently doable.
I got calls. And I'm talking with some coaches here tonight that are following that game, that are watching that game, and just the visibility and the promotion that it gives to our student athletes and what they do, and the great crowd that we had at CCNY. It was really good for the league. Our kids loved it. It was a great thing, and to have that type of a game,
right? On that stage.
On that stage, it was a really cool thing for them, and we want to keep this thing rolling as best we can.
What did the kids take away from the NCAA tournament experience? Obviously, going up, playing Scranton on a neutral floor. I'm only looking at the score, right? Playing them competitively at least, and following. What does that do going forward?
Look, Scranton. We knew we could play with Scranton. We played them 2 years ago on their court and played them tough down there. Carl does he does a great job with their kids. That's a team. We talked about it. He said this is a team that's been here. This team, they went to the Elite Eight. A couple years earlier.
Right.
They went to the NCAA tournament last year. They're here again this year. They've been there, I want to say 26 times in their program's history. I had the number. I had read it when we were up there. It's a team that they're used to that.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to get to. We want to be used to being in the NCAA tournament. I don't think the moment was too big for us. I just don't think we played real well. We had about a 5-minute stretch where we couldn't put the ball in the basket. We didn't run real good offense. They shoot the ball real well, and we let them get a couple threes that allowed them to separate.
Yeah.
And then it just, they had gotten it up to 19 early in the second half, and then we really made a push. We had it down to 5 with about 8 minutes to go, and with the ball.
Yeah.
So, we had a couple shots to get it down to one-possession games, and our kids were tired. I think mentally, physically, it was a lot for them. I don't blame them. They gave everything that they could possibly give to it, but it was a long season for us. We started the season on a foreign tour up in Montreal.
Okay.
So we've been going since late September.
All right.
So it was a very, very long season for our group, and they gave everything they could, and they lost to a team that was probably better. But certainly, I think we took away from it. Kind of, what do we need to do to get back here? All right, I think they want to get back to that level. I don't think this is a one-year thing for them. I think there's a taste for it. So we have to find ways now in the offseason to replace the guys that we're losing, because we're losing 3 very good seniors, and we need everybody to get a little bit better, and got to commit to getting back there.
Yeah, what does the team look like next year? Obviously, Gittins is playing here on Saturday, so we know he's a senior. What about the other 2 guys who are seniors? And then what's left next year?
We're losing a big chunk of our front line. We're losing 6'8", Brian McMahon, senior center, was a 3-year starter for us. 6'7", Josh Jenner was a key reserve player, and Granville 6'6", who did everything for us, who was on every all-star team, and to me, just one of the most physically gifted and talented players in the Division III level. So we got our work cut out for us to replace those 3 guys. We bring a lot back. We have a lot, our entire backcourt back. If we can replace our front line a little bit through recruiting, I think we'll have a chance. But we do have our rookie of the year coming back, Chima Ekekabar out of Christian Brothers.
So Dave's not here. He's the guy who needs the pronunciation help. Would you mind saying that one more time for me?
Chima Ekekabar.
Ekekabar. That's just like it's spelled, right?
The G is silent.
Which one?
He's only got 1 G.
Okay, looking at it.
Although his first name, I shorten it. It's he goes by Chima. His first name is Chimichi.
Okay, gotcha.
Chimichi Ekekabar. He has foiled Chimichi a lot of PA announcers this year.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Yep. That is there's a couple of guys in Division III who I just don't even try to spell. I just copy and paste straight out of a box score. Your guy, Victor Luray at Albertus Magnus, who has like 17 J's in his name.
I would never have pronounced it that way.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. That's my understanding is Lujujaraj.
That's how I would say it.
Or Luray. Yeah. That's good. So. Yeah, look. Obviously, you have 3 more years of him. He's a guy that you probably continue to build around.
Sure.
And what's your junior class? How are they looking?
Very good. Junior going into senior.
Yeah, rising seniors.
Senior. Very good. Edward Rosigno was a second-team All-League player for us this year. Did everything for us at the point guard. Without him, it would have been a really difficult season, especially losing Abe early in the season again.
Yeah, and so does he get a medical hardship? Is he planning to come back?
He's in grad school right now.
He's already in grad school?
Yeah, he's already in grad school. So our understanding, and I don't want to speak out of place with, I don't want to speak for the NCAA, is 2 medical hardships. He's got to be approved by the conference for 2 hardship waivers.
Yeah.
And then from my understanding is the NCAA, if they see 2 hardship waivers back to back, it's going to be very likely that he'll get the extension of eligibility.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to have him back. We're going to have a lot of guards.
Yeah.
Recruiting-wise, we just kind of stumbled in. Not stumbled in. We actively are recruiting a lot of guards who I think can help us. But that's more for
2018
after we lose all the guards next year.
Yeah.
So we've got a number of front court players that we're involved with, that we like, that we think can help. But until school starts, as you know, at this level, Division III, we're always wary of the late scholarship offers and.
Or kids who can't come up with the money and have to stop and work for a year or something too.
Well,
right?
we do deal. I mean, we deal with that, and fortunately for us, Baruch is. We get very high quality students at our school.
Okay.
I mean, kids that are really committed to academics, and the Baruch student, not just the Baruch student athlete, the Baruch students are some of the most competitive and focused students that I've ever seen. These kids are working during the day. They're going to classes. They're fighting for internships and job placement. The amazing thing about Baruch is Baruch has more employees or more alumni employed at Goldman Sachs than any other school in the country.
Oh, wow. All right.
Which, I mean, it just tells you the competitiveness that's coming through the college. But
Okay.
it's, so we have to recruit against high-quality Division III schools, and we're hopeful that the combination of academics and athletics is something that draws them to our campus.
So you said you're probably going to Virginia Wesleyan's tournament next season. What are the other non-conference games on your schedule that you know of right now? Oh, and also, since you're losing 3 seniors, do you have any openings? Because people might be wanting to play you next year.
We're still filling it out. So we're taking some calls. We're in some talks with some teams, but still working on some things. We're looking at possibly another Division I game. We played an exhibition against Rutgers this year, which I thought was a nice experience for our kids. Playing against a Big Ten school.
God, that's right.
I'm sorry.
I'm from old school Big Ten country, and that's still that still makes me do a double take.
It's a little different, but look, they're in the right direction.
Big Ten school.
Yeah, Eddie Jordan's got them in the right direction, and he did us a solid by scheduling us as an exhibition. I was real happy with the way we played. We played without Granville in that game. Granville had, he had some injuries in the preseason that we had kind of held him off for, and also Abe, who the young man that we actually did not have all season.
But those hurt yet.
Yeah, those are our 2 most talented players.
Okay.
And we played that game without them.
Okay. Yeah.
The score, obviously, we don't even look at it, but the way we played. We looked at that, and we showed them film after that game last year, and we said, look, guys, we showed them about 10 or 12 clips from that game, offensively, defensively. We said, just look, this is the Big Ten.
Yeah.
If we can play this way against them, there's not a team on our schedule, and we have some really good teams on our schedule, that we can't do that against.
Yeah.
So it's just about finding a way to be consistent in what we do and how we do it. And guys were great this year. We were really lucky. So we're going to look at possibly maybe playing Division I's again in the future, either regular games. We played Yale in the past. We fortunate to play Rutgers last year, and I think it's a great experience for our kids. It's not something that our kids get to do often, is playing facilities and arenas like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully one of these years we're down here in Salem and we get we're ready for it because we played in it, but. So that's kind of our approach. We want to keep playing good non-conference games. I'd like to play a few more at home if we could. I thought our tough losses this year were all on the road against good teams or neutral site, but that's kind of where we're at with it. So,
tell us a little bit about Granville Gittins. What kind of players here? What are we going to see from him on Saturday?
Granville's come such a long way. He was a guy that has always had the talent, and he's had a lot of bumps in the road, personally and athletically, in his life. He was a guy that really had to make some changes about after my first year of coaching. He was all conference the last 3 years. He was second team my first year as a coach and first team the last 2 years. Granville, to me, is the most gifted player in our league. I think he's the best player in our league. He has done an unbelievable job of making his game more adaptable to what our team was doing. And that's a hard thing to do.
That is a hard thing to do, yeah.
It's very hard when you have the ability that he has. And a lot of it, when he was a freshman and sophomore, it was raw ability. But I give him so much credit because he's put work in, and he's put a lot of trust in our coaches and his teammates. in the last few years, and his game has grown because of it. Now his numbers have not grown.
Yeah.
Last year as a sophomore, he scored more. I think he rebounded about the same last year. But this year, we just had more options, and we had the freshman Chimo, who played behind him. So they're the same position. So we bring the rookie of the year of the conference in to play behind him. So Granville, in 4 years, Granville did not average 30 minutes a game in any year.
Okay.
And I think he's the most talented player in our league. Doesn't have the best numbers, but he's a guy that became the ultimate team guy. And without that change and without that approach by him, our team doesn't, we don't win our league, we don't win the postseason tournament. When it came time for him to make the play himself, he made them.
Yeah.
And without him, we're certainly not as successful as we have been.
John, appreciate you joining us. Thanks for giving us some time today.
Happy to be here.
All right, that's John Alisi, the head coach of Baruch. His team went 21-7 this year and qualified for the NCAA tournament. They won the City University of New York Athletic Conference regular season and postseason tournament championships. Joining us here tonight on Hoopsville. Hoopsville from Corned Beef and Company in Roanoke. And you're good. You can just take the headset off and go. Yeah, cool. So thanks for listening. We're going to continue on here in just a couple of minutes, but Hoopsville, sponsored by the National Association of Basketball Coaches and the City of Salem, hosts of the 2015 Division III Men's Basketball National Championships, also by D3Hoops.com, and thanks to viewers like you. Although viewers like you tonight are seeing this generic Hoopsville logo, where you are listeners tonight here because of logistics, it's just much easier to produce a live remote audio show, because we're also producing a live remote video show tomorrow from the Salem Civic Center. We'll be coming on the air about an hour before the first game time, so 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and we will get you ready for our first national semifinal between Augustana and Babson. We'll send you over to ncaa.com, where Dave McHugh will be the color analyst on the broadcast over there, and then we'll be back between games with more live video from on Hoopsville courtside. Dave and I will be getting you ready for that second game between Virginia Wesleyan and the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. We'll have interviews with all four head coaches as we get you ready for those games, and then afterwards we'll have a wrap-up game or a wrap-up show at the end of the night. You can find all that stuff on the front page of D3Hoops.com, and we'll also make sure that you get to those live NCAA.com broadcasts so you don't miss a single minute from the Division III Men's Basketball Final Four. So I'm Pat Coleman, hosting Hoopsville tonight. Dave McHugh is at the Division III Men's Basketball National Championship banquet, where he is juggling, singing songs, dancing. No, he's performing a role as a interviewer of coaches and of players. He's hosting a roundtable. That's basically what I've been saying all night. So he's there. He's let me take this over. I used to do radio more often, and I feel like we're trying. We're doing our best here. So thank you so much for joining us here on Hoopsville. We've been talking with head coaches here at this coaches reception put together by Hoopsville and by Sport Tours International on Thursday night here in Roanoke at Corned Beef and Company. We thank the folks at Corned Beef for letting us take over some space and letting the coaches have a place to hang out and watch some of the games going on in the scholarship divisions, shall we say, of NCAA basketball. I think there's some sort of tournament. There might be some madness of some sort going on all around me. In a couple of moments, we'll have one more coach to join us, and I think we'll probably sign off after that. We've been on the air for a little while. We've been audible for a little while as well. We thank you for those of us who stuck with our technical difficulties earlier. We are in much better shape now. But one of the challenges of working without a producer is I have to go line up my next guest. So I'll be back in a few seconds.
always. Sometimes it's like AAU coaches aren't.
I don't know him. I know his brother. His brother is Jason. So when he's in Atlanta,
one shot he did.
This chair is good. This headset's good.
How's my hair look?
We're going to be joined here by Charlie Brock, the head coach of Springfield College. He's going to talk with us about the Pride season and a little bit about Babson. So as Charlie settles in, Charlie's, of course, one of the is ringleaders okay? Yeah, go ahead and put that on. One of the leaders of this group of NABC Division III coaches who have kind of made this whole thing happen here in Salem. First of all, thank you for joining us. That was somebody's ice water. You probably don't want that. Give me a second here. I've got too many mics on. So, first of all, I want to talk about before we let you go. I just want to make sure fans know you guys obviously played Babson and you saw quite a bit of tape on Babson. So I want to talk about the Beavers a little bit, but I also want to talk about what the Division III coaching community has kind of done here in Salem. They've kind of adopted this event as a big place for coaches to come and gather. And we've had some discussion over the last couple weeks about why this doesn't happen in women's basketball. And there's certainly various reasons why it hasn't there. But can you tell us a little bit about how it started here in Salem for men's basketball, that all you guys decided to come down here?
Actually, Pat, it started, there was one year that the TV mandated that we have the championship game at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And as a result, the consolation game really became something of a risk.
Yeah.
Not a good situation. And so we looked at the possibility of an alternative, and that's when the All-Star game, the idea came up, and great guys on the committee, and taking it to the NABC and selling it to them, and getting the money together to do that, where we could bring in kids literally from all over the country and the different regions and play an All-Star game as an alternative. And there was some difference of opinion on the consolation, but not playing it at 10 o'clock in the morning, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a no-brainer, but it was a win-win for a lot of reasons. And all the right people got involved. We got great people. I couldn't speak to what the women do, but we're blessed with having great people like Bill Raleigh, Pat Cunningham, Sean, and Dan Priest, and I'll probably Mike McGrath, and just different people, obviously Paige here in Salem, and putting things together for that game to take place, and the NABC backing it with the financial resources.
Yep, and now Reese's too helping out, right?
And Reese's, absolutely.
Yeah. I was kind of counting through years. I think it started in 2009. I'm thinking Sean Wallace's senior year, he was in that first group, right? Because those guys, for example, the first group that played down here, I'm friends with a lot of them on Facebook. I follow them on Twitter, and they still talk back and forth with each other. Even though they're well into their professional careers,
great relationships.
They had a great experience here.
Yeah, great relationships, and that's kind of the comment we always ask them to give us a little feedback after the fact, so we can continue to sell it to the NABC and the powers to be there. And one of the things that always comes back are the relationships that are created by a one weekend situation that brings kids together that have no idea, what it's like, and they don't know each other, and then they go away and they create that and stick with the relationships.
Yeah, I mean, so you mentioned having to kind of go back and resell it every year. Is the rest of the NABC leadership in
it's not a hard sell.
Okay, good.
Not even no.
Good.
Not even remotely a hard sell. It's Jim Haney and Reggie and the guys in the NABC and the Division I guys love the fact that it is a great deal, and we do a good job of running it, so not even remotely a hard sell.
So what is the process like? I mean, Well, the quote unquote controversial stuff is like selecting kids, but when does that process start? When do you start looking at who's the guys who might be on the list?
Well, actually, I mean, initially when we first started, we were going all year long with meetings and calls, and now it's kind of a well-oiled machine. And as the conferences are winding down and all conference teams, players of the year are selected, we have a nominating committee run by Sean from Case, and they gather all the information. He's got a committee together that's a regional one with 8 different guys on it. We've got a process in place where if there's anybody that has a player in that, there's a backup to make sure. We've done a great job, I think, of making sure that all coaches absolutely have access to the nomination process.
Okay. Even ones who aren't NABC members?
It's not available to a non-NABC member. A player cannot play if the coach or someone on the coaching staff isn't a member of the NABC. And quite frankly, it's the
NABC's All-Star Game, so that's fine. Right, the NABC has a lot of benefits for coaches to be members. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to to sidetrack you there. It was just something I was wondering about.
But that's we get to that point, and then once the nomination process starts, there's a ranking done. As kids are in the NCAA tournament, they either become available because unfortunately they got beat, or they're still in the tournament and we have to wait. That does incur some expenses because some kids are available all of a sudden on the last weekend because they didn't advance.
Right, and you want to get them here because
we want them here. We want the best players here. And it's a really well-run process by the people that are involved in that nominating committee. It's a good group.
And so, I mean, the game is certainly improved, added some things over the course of the past couple of years. What are the things that you guys as a coaching committee and as a coaches community would like to see this game do in the future?
I think the game is fine. What we've done is we've enhanced the weekend more and more, and especially with the coaches of the All-Stars coming down here. Typically, they want to see their guys, the families, and so on. Mike McGrath has gotten really involved in putting together a coaches clinic on Saturday morning. We've got some sponsors involved, and you guys too, on this Thursday night. We've got a thing going on tomorrow afternoon prior to the games starting.
Okay.
Just more and more activities that take place over the course of the weekend that are NABC affiliated and sponsored, and really, really, really good for coaches.
Yeah, because it seems like I would guess, I haven't really done a whole formal count, but I think that in any given year there's probably 30 to 40 Division III head coaches who are here at the D3 Final Four.
And it's been escalating.
Yeah.
It's been more and more. More and more people are finding that it's a fun deal and it's a worthwhile deal. Actually, the clinic that is going to take place on Saturday morning is now going to become a professional development situation. So it's they can get a PDF like they do with the Division I clinics that go on.
Okay.
So it's really become a really professional deal as well as a fun time.
I think that's the sort of thing that we've been talking about, and I've talked with some of the other coaches here on the air tonight about the stuff that they get out of coming to this, and there's a lot of, there's obviously a lot of networking, but there's a lot of business that gets done here too.
Yes. Yep.
So you guys, obviously, you made the NCAA tournament. You were on the bubble, I think, to get in. Right, on men's we got all of those bubble teams correct, so we thought you were in. But what's it? Obviously you guys have been in that position, or at least you as a coach have been in that position before, and you've been on national selection calls too before. What's it like sitting there for a few days waiting to see if you guys are going to get in or not? And did you feel confident that you were going to go?
I did, and I thought the win over and a great game against WPI we played in the semifinals was an absolute necessity. Without it, I don't think we would have gotten in. With it, I thought we had a profile that would allow it. Obviously, we wanted to go into Babson and take care of business and not have any process have to take place.
Yeah.
And they're really, really good. I'm sure you'll have questions about them.
That'll be next.
I've had plenty. I've had plenty of opportunity to see them and study them, and but you look at around the country and there's so many teams and so many good teams conferences. I think our conference is really good, and the one, we had our worst loss was against Williams. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, usually that's
we played a lot of good teams, and we played a lot of teams that were in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. And you played Babson 3 times, right? Twice in the regular season, once in the conference tournament. Our fans are going to be watching them on NCAA.com here tomorrow, and I got a chance to see them last week. But I want to get your take on Babson is going to be so much better than my take on Babson. So, from a coach's perspective, what's give us a little thumbnail sketch of Babson if you don't.
I don't think there's anything secret about Babson. I think they defend really well. They've got a lot of integral parts that really work together well and fit. They got a good point guard that if you leave him alone, he can shoot. They've got 2 good bigs that are solid and rebound, and one of them can score in a multitude of different ways. And then they've got a kid like Joey Flannery that can really get it done. And if you watch the game against Trinity in their final game, I'm not sure what he had at the half. He may have had 6 to 8 points, not much, nothing special. But then he ends up with 20.
Right.
And all of a sudden, here you go again.
Yeah.
And then you got a kid like Dean, and I know he had an injury in that game, and hopefully he'll be healthy. But he's just a mean defender that rebounds the ball as a wing, and he's kind of maybe the glue. And then they bring some kids off the bench, and a kid like Droney hit a 3 down to the wire. Not his forte, but they've had confidence. And I don't know if you watched Steve Brennan's post-game thing, but he talked about
I asked
Droney.
The questions in Steve's post-game thing.
Okay, so he's talking about Droney hitting 3s in practice on the scout team. When are you going to do one for us? Well, bang.
That was
and
the one.
He put him in the game. And Trinity was a really good team. So they beat a great Johns Hopkins team. They beat a great Trinity team, both well coached, and in essence they were down a little bit. So I don't think it phases them to get a little bit behind adversity. They seem to be okay with that. I'm sure they'd rather be up, but they don't get flustered.
Yeah, because I think they were trailing at the half both games last weekend, at least one game in the first weekend of the tournament.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're certainly well accustomed to coming back. From your perspective, what's it going to take for them to compete here on the bigger stage here in Salem?
I know Steve Brennan well, and I know what he does preparation-wise. He will have done everything that there is to be done, as well as anybody else could do.
Okay.
It's going to take players to play well, as it always is. It will come down to a couple of plays, I hope, and that'll be because both teams played well. And there's always a guy like Joey Flannery or a Wiki that can make the big play when they need to, both inside and outside.
Yeah.
And the teams that plays well will win the game.
We're talking with Charlie Brock, head coach at Springfield College here on Hoopsville. Hoopsville from Corned Beef and Company in Roanoke, Virginia. And thank you for joining us on this special Thursday night show here in Roanoke, Virginia. Charlie, tell us a little bit about who you guys lose, who you have coming back, and what 2015-16 looks like for the Pride.
We lose a lot. I have a great nucleus of 3 seniors that are going to graduate that have led us to 3 straight NCAA tournaments. Sean Martin is a point guard who has, I quite frankly, and it's crazy to say, but I couldn't believe he scored 1,000 points in his career.
Yeah.
Just because that's not the kind of player he is.
Gotcha.
Nick Sikowitz is going to go on to physical therapy and make a lot of money, and God bless him. Same thing with Tim. We're going to lose a big group. And yet we get back a couple of guys who have been in it, and there'll be 3 seniors next year, and we have some freshmen that played some this year and will move in, and we're looking for a good recruiting year. We look to reload.
What's the conference look like next year? I know, obviously, Wiki's a senior, right, and he's not the only senior in that squad, but I don't know what WPI looks like or MIT or that sort of thing.
I think everybody is losing a little bit.
Yeah.
WPI is going to lose Sam Longwell, great player. MIT is going to lose a couple of kids. So, but everybody's in the same boat. They're going to lose a couple of kids. They got to reload and do the same thing. And great bunch of coaches in our league.
Thanks for joining us, Charlie. I appreciate it. Thanks for giving us your insight on Babson and the whole NABC All-Star Game process. Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
That's Charlie Bracco, and we also always give the coaches the final word. I keep forgetting that. That is Dave's thing. So, final word on Hoopsville.
Final word from my perspective is thank you for being here and doing what you do with Division III basketball. It's very exciting. I love coming here. It's great to have you be a part of it, and it enhances the game tremendously.
Thanks, man. It's a lot of fun. Our 18th Final Four. Charlie Brock, thanks for joining us here on Hoopsville. Let you go back to the rest of the NABC coaches reception here at Corned Beef and Company in Roanoke, Virginia. Thanks everybody who's joined us so far, or if you're picking us up on the archive, we thank you for watching and listening. It's been a good week of basketball, or a good season of basketball, an unpredictable season of basketball. We've got 3 games left, 2 national semifinals on a Friday evening and a national championship game on a Saturday afternoon. And Dave McHugh and I and the rest of the D3Hoops.com gang will bring it all to you. So you'll stay tuned. We will have more information about that. You can find the links on the front page for the live pregame shows coming to you courtside from the Salem Civic Center. And Dave and I will be hitting the air at 4:30 in the afternoon tomorrow afternoon to get you ready for that 5:30 national semifinal between Augustana College and Babson College. Those are the Salem newbies, and then it's the Salem veterans, the old guard, in the second game, as Virginia Wesleyan College, the host, or at least the home team on the scoreboard, takes on the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. We'll have a pregame interview with all 4 of those head coaches coming to you tomorrow afternoon. And we'll be on the air between games to wrap up that first game and get you ready for that second game. And then after game number 2, we will bring you one more time to the live show where we will wrap you up and get you ready for Saturday afternoon. Saturday, we'll be joining you at about an hour before tip-off. We'll get you ready for that Division III National Championship game. Will it be Babson versus Stevens Point, Augustana versus Virginia Wesleyan, Babson and Virginia Wesleyan, Augustana and Stevens Point? We will find out. We'll know in a little over 24 hours from now. So thanks to all of our guests here tonight. Gary Stewart from Stevenson. I'm going to run through this to see if I get them all correct. And Brett Seymour from Sport Tours International, Jimmy Smith from Texas Lutheran, John Alisi from Baruch, who just had Charlie Brock from Springfield. Thanks to all of them for joining us here tonight, and we appreciate you guys sticking with us through our technical wonderfulness that was this evening. Archive show will be up momentarily. You'll be able to scroll back and listen to the parts that are comprehensible coming up in just a few moments. For my partner Dave McHugh, I'm Pat Coleman signing off for Hoopsville, and thanks to everybody at the National Association of Basketball Coaches at the City of Salem, D3Hoops.com, and of course the viewers and listeners like you, along with our hosts here tonight at Corned Beef and Company in downtown Roanoke. Thanks everybody, and we'll be back with more coverage tomorrow. This has been Hoopsville.